And welcome to Call Aboard. Let's see. We got the whistle.
Got the whistle, baby. Barrows isn't here to do whatever we want.
That's right. Welcome to our favorite two-player games episode of Call Aboard. Today, I welcome Anthony, co-conductor. I'm Ryan.
I'm Anthony, co-conductor.
There he is. Mr. Rao is sitting at his son's hockey practice. If y'all are still on when I get home, I'll hop in. I mean, look.
Good to know where the priorities are.
It's good to know I'm not leaving until you call in. That's the rules. Hey now, he's an all-star, and he'll be here shortly.
All right.
That's
Well, we're
Chris
going to blow the
Barrows.
whistle till you get here, then.
The OG co-conductor. But we're talking today favorite two-player games, including my favorite two-player game, which is Do a Tabletop Express episode without Chris Barrows. It's just the two of us. Sorry. That was me. Don't worry. He'll come on.
He'll be here. He'll be here.
But no, we have a really awesome video today where we're going to talk about favorite two-player games. Everyone can call in. You don't need to be on video to call in. You can just do call/aboard.com to join in to talk about your favorite two-player games. But not only that, we have something special, right?
Now, just to clarify before you show the special part.
Yeah.
This does not have to be two-player only games.
Oh, yeah. That's the rule. Let's talk rules.
Yeah.
So, games don't need to be two-player only.
Just things that you enjoy at two-player.
Preferably at two. Best at two, right?
Yeah.
Right? So, you know. And
Personally, spoiler alert, my list is all two-player only games with like a couple of minor exceptions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I think mine's not.
Okay.
Mine for sure is not. Actually, I don't know how many minor ones I have. I gotta remember.
All right, so show the special part.
So let's show it. So we have on screen a special thing. I see a lot of friends in the chat. We got Brian in the chat. We got D-Nix in the chat. We got Rachel in the chat. It's a lot of friendly faces. A lot of our awesome people from our Discord too.
Yeah, regulars.
Spoilers. We have a well, shameless plug. We have a Discord. You can join. Not spoilers. But anyways, take a look at this. We have a brand new, inspired by Family Feud kind of board.
There you go.
Where we'll have our favorite two-player games. We got Ryan's picks. We got Anthony's picks. And when Chris Barrows shows up, we'll add on his. Well, you wanted to do that. We love you, Chris. Thank you for starting this channel.
Yes.
So we're taking over right now for a little bit. I see Danielle in the chat. How you doing, Danielle? They see Dr. J Game Fan. Good evening. So very important. We're gonna be going through our favorite two-player games, but not only that, when you call in and talk about a favorite two-player game of yours, if it's on our list, we'll also reveal it. It's pretty. That's.
So are we not going to give any of our picks until we get our first caller?
No, we can. We can. We can. You know, to keep the ball rolling.
Because I have a couple of honorable mentions that didn't make the cut.
Well, we can. So what's cool is we can always go to Board Game Geek and talk about an honorable mention.
Cool.
I'm more than happy to hear it. You want to do
one of
honorable
mine?
mention?
Sure.
Yeah, why not?
So, as I said, all of mine are actually two-player only games.
Uh-huh.
But there were a couple on here that made the short list that are not... Okay, there's one.
There's only one that's not...
That could play multiple. Again, with a little bit of an asterisk that I'll get to later. But basically, this is Ticket to Ride, but it's going to be the Ticket to Ride small box series.
Which one you like the best? New York?
I have New York and San Francisco only. I haven't played London.
Let's do New York.
But New York is one I had first. I probably played the most. So, I mean, I like it at 2 because it's a much, much smaller board.
Okay.
Right? So it's just a shorter game by that nature anyway. And as you can see, there's really not a lot of long routes at all. I think there's maybe 4. And that might be the
from
longest.
Chelsea to Soho.
So it's a lot of short routes. So obviously you're going to complete destination tickets pretty easily, but don't forget that that double route is going to be closed off with a two-player game. So once one of those is taken, that's it. The other small difference in scoring about this one is there's some like tourist spots that if you connect to them, you'll get 1 point per one at the end of the game that you connected to. So there's those little tokens around.
Like the Flatiron building.
Exactly.
Right
exactly. And they're little taxi cabs instead of train cars.
I like that aesthetic.
So I do like that too. The San Francisco one has little trolley cars instead of traditional trains. So that's cool too. But again, I like this. I love Ticket to Ride, but I love this 1 at 2 specifically because it just fits in that we can get this done in like 15 minutes and still either have time for another game or do whatever else tired people do.
I do want to stress, by the way, because I feel like I've always wanted to get this one because, you know, we live so close to New York that, you know, I have an attachment to New York for sure. If you go to New York City, there's tons of player colors in Ticket to Ride New York, it looks like, right? Only get in a yellow cab when you're in Manhattan, though.
Yes.
Okay? Because they'll overcharge you if it's not yellow. If you're in Brooklyn, green's okay, too. It's a weird nuance. Brian Chandler saying Ticket to Ride small boxes haven't gotten to try San Francisco yet, so might give New York City a run. West Coast, Best Coast. Well,
I forget what the little nuance is in San Francisco that's different about the board. It doesn't have those.
It's got to be the ramps, right? I feel like that. I don't know.
Maybe there's ferries.
Or trolley car?
Well, the pieces are trolley cars.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. Bring up the San Francisco map.
And then hang on, Barros is saying this one is also great at dinner because it fits on the table while you eat.
I mean, it is like a fifth of the size of a regular Ticket to Ride board.
And I find New York great with the kids too, rather than the whole big game.
Good point. Although the younger kid versions of this game are also really good.
I need to try those.
First Journey, I haven't played, but I've played the Ghost Train one, which is, I think, essentially First Journey with a Halloween theme, just on top. I don't know.
I did see that one. You said it was San Francisco? What's
San Francisco's another small box one that I have, yeah.
Right,
and I think there's a London one as well, but I've never played that.
Yeah, I saw the London one.
Yeah, what does San Francisco have that's different on their map?
Well, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, covers are awesome.
San Francisco differences. Not really. Let me.
Okay, it looks like there is ferries because it goes into the water a little bit.
Oh, okay, cool.
So that's an aspect from the bigger brother games.
Europe.
Yeah, in the smaller one.
San Francisco has some tourist tokens, maybe flowers or something. Yeah, I haven't tried.
Yeah.
I haven't tried them.
You might collect something.
I haven't tried any of the small box ones. The only Ticket to Ride I have right now is the 15th.
Well, if you're only going to have one.
15th anniversary Europe, or is that 10th anniversary?
No, that's
15th.
15th.
15th anniversary Ticket to Ride Europe.
Yeah, that's a good one to have if you're only going to have one.
Yeah. I can do my honorable mention, I guess.
Yeah, let's hit it.
So, you know, I've been playing this a lot last year with Barros, and it's a cooperative deck building game that I like the 2 players. And that is G.I. Joe, the deck building game.
I've heard you guys talk about this one.
It's pretty great. I don't really care for G.I. Joe, I'm not going to lie. Like, my G.I. Joe knowledge is primarily those, you know, like watching in college, those PSAs, like the parody ones. You know?
Yeah.
Hey, kid, I'm a computer. Stop with all the downloading. You know, that's canon to me. The game plays nothing like that at all. What it actually plays it like is how G.I. Joe was like with, you know, playing as a kid. Like the little toys. You take the figures, you take your Joes, you're putting them in vehicles, and you're just like bashing cars, you know, bad guys. And that's exactly how this game plays. You take Joe cards, put them on vehicle cards, and then slam them up.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So it's honorable mention. Fantastic pick. I saw Mr. Rao actually has been. Yeah, he's been playing with it on his channel. It's a great one solo, and that's also why I didn't include it here, because I do really like it at 2 players. I also like it solo a lot too. So it's one of those games that, you know, I couldn't include it. And then I need to play this in Transformers. And then, yeah, they I don't know if you know this, they announced an expansion, yeah, where you could take the G.I. Joe deck building game and combine it with the Transformers deck building game.
Of course you can.
So, there you go.
That's awesome. I mean, that is really, right? That's like nostalgic as heck. Taking your
I guess so.
Toys and just...
What they don't have yet is they don't have Sergeant Slaughter in the G.I. Joe deck building game. Because, I guess, licensing.
It's a weird licensing thing.
Yeah, because he's like a legit human.
Maybe when he dies.
No, well, the thing is they announced it for some of the other G.I. Joe games. I think like G.I. Joe Mission Critical it's called, and the role-playing game. There's a special like Sergeant Slaughter version, you know. And yeah, there's a My Little Pony one that is in the same line, as well as a Power Rangers one too.
Okay.
So, and that's from Renegade Game Studios. But we can just go down our list.
Whatever you want to do.
Want to jump in? Wait, what do we see? Oh, they don't combine the 2 games.
False information.
Look at that. Thank you. They're simply just adding Transformers into the G.I. Joe game. I mean, that makes more sense because I think they do play significantly different too. But yeah, GI Joe teams up with the Autobots, right? I guess so. I never see that's the thing. I was never into GI Joe. I was never into Transformers either.
See, I mean, I was minorly into these things, but I was never. In terms of like toys, I never had to collect like one thing. I had like little bits and pieces of. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just had like a couple Joes, I had a couple Ninja Turtles, and
Yeah.
a couple Transformers. There was nothing I was ever really all in on. I had a bunch of wrestling figures for sure.
Oh, nice.
But that was about it.
Well, we could go on into our top 10 while we wait for some callers, but we are accepting calls, so if you go to call-board.com, you should be able to get in, and if not, let
Operators
us know.
are standing by, as far as I know.
I'm standing by, yes. Any day now. Hello? But let me pull up the screen. Share screen. Let's pull this back up. Hey, here we go.
All right, want me to go first?
Sure, I'll go first. My number 10. So my number 10 is a small box one. And this one actually is only 2 players. And they recently came out with a new edition this past year in 2022. And that is the classic, modern classic. Not really. It's not really classic. Whatever. It's a 2-player game called Air, Land, and Sea. Air, Land, and Sea by John Perry from it says Osprey Publishing, but I think this one was Arcane Wonders. So it's an error on my part. But in Air, Land, and Sea, you are basically there's an 18 deck card. There's an 18 deck of cards. 18 card deck. Sorry.
Each person has 18?
No, so
18 total.
it's shared throughout the entire game. I get 6, you get 6. And what we're doing is we're playing our cards in different theaters, air, land, and sea. So you'll see one side is one player, the other side is the other player. And in order to win, you need to win most of the theaters. So you need to just win 2 of the 3 theaters. You do that by summing up the total score per theater. So in this case, air, the player closest to us is going to be 4, whereas 2 is, so 4 beats 2, that player will win. Sea, 4 beats 1, so that player would win. And then land, 2 beats 1, so 2 would win. So they would win a certain number of points, depending on if that particular player decided to stay in or call out, because at any time you can either play a card or you can withdraw, and the sooner you withdraw, the less points you give to your opponent. So it's kind of similar kind of feel to if you ever played the Reiner Knizia game Shot in Totten or Battle Line.
Right.
Very similar, where you kind of want to choose your battles, and it might be better to just not focus on some, but at least with this you can choose to withdraw.
Right.
And it's really well done, because what's going to go on is it goes on until one player gets 12 points, and like the surest way to get 6 points is if both players just play all their cards. And not only that, because there's 18 cards, they all have special powers on them. It's like the weaker ones have pretty good special powers, like some of them actually affect cards in other theaters adjacent to you. Some of them have one-time effects. Other cards too, if you can't play in a specific theater, you can play it face down in that theater, and it would cost 2. So every back
So
of the
that
card,
one on the left is a face down card.
it's a
right?
face down card. And it's really well done. It's really quick. It's awesome. Like if you want a quick 2-player game that's just ready to go for it. And the new edition, Air, Land, and Sea, Spies, Lies, and Supplies, which I have box over there, is more of the same. 18 cards, but also adds some additional tokens to the game where you can actually just add on support to one side or the other, to one theater. It's great. I love this game. And yeah, that's Air, Land, and Sea.
That sounds cool. I think I would definitely enjoy this.
You would like this, for sure. For sure. And the box is so small. Where is it? Yeah, actually, I'll grab it. Look how small this is.
You can probably fit both in there.
Yeah, they are. Both
Oh,
are
they
in
are.
here.
Oh, that's empty. Okay.
Yeah, so both are in this copy of Air,
Sweet.
Land, and Sea. So very small, awesome game. Definitely check it out. That's it.
Cool.
You wanted to jump on your number 10?
Yeah, my number 10 is definitely the opposite, at least in terms of box size.
Uh-oh.
Mine's a big boy, and this is one of the earliest games in my collection, honestly. It's a Summoner Wars, the master
Mm.
set that came out. Now, again, this is older at this point because there's actually a second edition of this game that came out last year with new artwork and I think new factions too. I'm not sure. Before this master set came out, there was like I think two boxes you could buy that had two factions in them,
Okay.
and then this one had six, I think, total.
Yeah, this is the master set.
Yeah. This is my number 10 only because I don't play it that much anymore. I couldn't tell you the last time I played this game.
Mm-hmm.
I've only played this game with one other person, my other friend Anthony. So because of that, I haven't played this game in a really long time.
Yeah.
But man, this is like chess on steroids.
Yeah.
It's chess in that there's grid movement, but every card is, for the most part, has a different ability. You have a summoner that's the leader of your faction that's going to be out on the board to start, and then a couple foot soldier level things. And there's some champions that you can bring out, and these bigger, monsters and heroes and stuff. Very asymmetrical. It's just, oh man, it's so much fun. It's so like strategic and tactical.
Yeah.
Because you have so many things you have to. It's not overcomplicated because you're only playing with the one faction, but within that faction, there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
And the cool thing about it is, in addition to bringing cards out and moving them around and attacking and stuff like that, in order to bring new units out to summon them, you've got to pay magic. And so you're also doing a lot of hand management because you can burn cards to kind of get your currency up to then use.
Yeah.
So you would have this awesome champion that costs like 7 to get out. It's going to take you a while to get that one out. But
Right.
if you get it out early, it's going to be a force to be reckoned with for a long time. And that's just scratching the surface of this game. There are so many factions. They made like second summoner decks for a lot of these factions. You can combine them. You can kind of like deck build a little bit like Magic in that aspect. I've never done that. I've just played them straight out of how they are, but there's so much replayability because of that. Oh man, this game is so cool. Just basic dice combat. Nothing crazy with line of sight or anything like that, but there's range attacks and melee attacks and stuff. It's awesome. I love this game.
You make it sound really good.
It's a lot of fun.
Because I guess I need to play it again. Because I played it online once. There's an online version.
Okay.
I didn't enjoy it as much. But I could see, but it's not, I didn't think it was a bad game. It's just not my kind of thing. Because
It's just fun to play the different factions because then
I feel like that's
your
what,
summoner has like an ability as
Yeah.
well, and they're pretty thematic. Some of them are you want them to hang back. Some of them are going to be able to make their presence kind of felt out in the middle of the battlefield.
Yeah.
And so that's the chess feel is like that, right? But you're not like fragile, like
Right.
protecting your king all the
You're
time.
not a pawn.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. Like there's pawns in this game, but they're still pretty good. And you're gonna lose, units are gonna go, they're gonna die and stuff like that.
Right.
But yeah, I can't say enough good things about this game. Again, it's only number 10 because I don't play it that often. If I played it more, if it was in the rotation, easily could be top 5.
All right. And Mr. Rouse saying that he's super interested in Summoner Wars. I own everything for a game called Crystal Clans that shares a lot of the same DNA.
Oh, okay.
And I did play it online. I know Plaid Hat has a way you could play it online.
Yes.
So that's where I
saw a
played
post
it.
about that today, actually.
Yeah.
I think a couple new factions made it there.
Yeah, so I haven't, I would try it I think I want to try it in person. Because there's other games that kind of have this vibe. Like, I don't know if you played, like, Mage Wars, I feel like has this same
Right.
vibe.
I haven't played that, but yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. It has some. I think that's more complex.
Yeah.
For sure. And again, I mentioned earlier that there was a bit of an asterisk here. This is one of those games that you could technically play 2-on-2, but I don't see the point in that.
All right. Well, that's Summoner Wars.
Summoner Wars.
Nice.
First edition.
First edition. And that game too. Have you done Tosh Kalar?
No.
At all? So Tosh Kalar is kind of similar in vein. We do this. Boom. Let me pull this up. Tosh Kalar. In Tosh Kalar, and this almost made my list too. This is actually on Board Game Arena as well too. So let me see if I can find a good picture. It's by Vladika Vodal from CGE Games.
Mm-hmm.
And you're using basically these pogs to place out on the board. And you're trying to achieve different patterns. And when you do, you can play certain cards from your hand. And instead of you could play one of two ways. Where you're either trying to defeat your opponent, or every round there's there's three objectives at all times, and if you achieve one of the objectives, you can claim it, and that'll give you a certain number of points, and then a new objective will come out. And different pogs level up, like they have like 1 sword versus 2 sword, and then there's like a legendary one, and it's also asymmetric powers. So the red and blue factions, they kind of work the same, but they kind of mirror off each other. Whereas there's like a fire one and like an ice one and all sorts of other ones. Yeah, Tashkalar. It is a game that can make your brain burn for sure.
Now, how many of these tokens do you have? Like, are you putting them out constantly, or are you moving them around?
You're putting them out constantly because you're not going to be attached to them.
Okay.
So on your turn, you could place up to 2. You can either place 1, or you have 2 actions, so you can place up to 2 per turn, really. But when you place 1, you either choose to place 1, or you could achieve a card, and then it'll, like in this case, the cavalry captain will wipe out the blue cross sword in the red square because it's fulfilling that goal. And when it does, it removes it, and then you carry out the action on the bottom.
Cool.
Yeah. So you can play 2 ways, right? You're fighting each other to just try to get the most points that way, or my preferred way of trying to achieve different patterns, which is really interesting. And it is on Board Game Arena. I've played it there a lot of times. So if you haven't tried it out, like, it looks really bland. I'm not gonna, like, this looks very blah.
Yeah.
In my opinion,
It's like one color.
Yeah, it's very, but not even that. Like,
wait,
it's
is that
like,
horse holding that spear?
Yeah, it's a horse. Because the thing is, that's the thing. You're summoning these creatures out. So if you look in the far back, just
there's Doctor Strange.
Just like yeah. So it's like, go Pogs. that's what you're doing. You're saying go Pogs. So yeah, it's got that vibe a little bit to Summoner Wars.
Yeah, cool.
Anyways, that's that one. Let's keep going on this list.
Let's do it.
All right, my number 9. I'm completely blanking my number 1. No.
So you gotta have a cheat sheet.
No way. My number 9 is one better than number 10. And that is Gaslands Refueled. Okay, so Gaslands is a miniatures game. Okay. Miniature cars. Well, here's the thing. The game only comes with a book. Okay, it's up there somewhere. I can go find it later. It's literally just a hardcover book because it's a miniature game where you need to create your own miniatures, and the game is scaled to be played with Hot Wheel cars.
Okay.
So I have a picture of my son from last year playing Gaslands, and those shipping containers I printed out on like cardstock.
Cool.
Folding them up. It's awesome. It's weird. It's great.
It's like crashing the cars?
No, it's like Mad Max style. So you're doing like a death race kind of thing. So you're doing a race where you're trying to just go through different gates to the finish line. But while that's going on, when you pass like the first gate, your weapons start to activate and you can start shooting. There's different kinds of weapons too. There's like machine guns and like grenades. There's also they have some really funky ones. Like they have remote control RC bombs. So I actually took the cars from Formula D and have those as like the little miniatures that move around. And you're moving around in a template fashion, similar to X-Wing, the miniatures game, if you played that. Look, Brian Chandler, I'm so excited to build out some cars. Bought and read through the Gaslands book last year.
Nice.
And let me tell you, with Gaslands, it's well worth it because you could just go to the supermarket and just buy like a miniature for $1 there, right?
I don't need to buy it.
It's just
so many cars.
That's true. You probably have a lot of Hot Wheels, and it is a great way to get into mini painting. So I did paint one because they are meant to look ugly, so you can make them look as ugly as you want.
There you go. Yeah, that is
kind of just like
if you mess up, who cares?
Yeah, and people are super creative with it too. Like they're taking like toothpicks and turning them into like spikes and stuff. It's awesome. And this I have a neoprene mat of it that has like a printed on like track.
Okay.
And everything is DIY. So it literally is just that book. Like you could print out the templates. They suggest that you print them out and then just like glue them onto like cereal box cardboard, which I've done and it works out fine. but there's a whole Etsy community where you can actually just get stuff too.
Sweet.
And it's just, man, like the stories that come out of that game, it's so exciting. You have to be okay. It's a miniatures game, so you have to be okay with kind of being a little loose with it. You know, you got to be a little loose with it and be okay with like fudging some rules. Because there's gonna be situations where it's like, oh, what was that rule again? And the thing is, it's a race.
Right.
You want to keep it going. You don't want it to get stale. So you kind of got to go with your gut at times. No, internalize those rules and then go with your gut when you actually play. So yeah, that was Gaslands Refueled.
Color me intrigued.
Well, well, we should play it. But yeah, by the way, if you do have a favorite 2-player game and you would like to call in, you just need to simply go to call/aboard.com. Remember to include the hyphen.
Hyphen, not slash. That would be.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. That
Call
might
dash
be something
aboard.
else. You never know. Try that too. See what happens.
Yeah, we're not gonna have that though. It'll break probably. Call dashaboard.com. Respect the hyphen. Okay.
Dashaboard. All right, my number 9.
Number 9.
Number 9.
Uh-oh.
Oh boy.
Uh-oh.
Hey, oh boy, I heard everything you said. For the record, heard everything.
I'm sorry, who is this again? State your name, caller. Tell us where you're from.
Oh man, yeah. Sorry, everybody, for joining late. It's been a day. It has been a day. I didn't even think I was joining you guys today. Quite frankly, the way I felt this morning. So I'm just glad to be here. Quite frankly,
Wow, we're glad you're here.
I'm happy to be here. Happy to be here.
Well, the good news is, see, we have 2 lists over here. I don't have yours unless I click this super secret button.
There it is.
Isn't that fancy?
There it is. It looks good. I gotta say hello to everybody. I would encourage folks to drop in. I know we'll get Mr. Rao when he gets a little bit later on. I will note this topic I've been looking forward to, so I think I willed myself to hell for it simply because
Nice.
I've been so excited about 2-player games.
You love 2-player games.
I got a lot of love for 2-player games. There's no
Before
question.
we jump into yours, we did talk about honorable mentions.
Yeah.
Do you want to highlight one?
Yeah, so I'll have 2 honorable mentions, I think.
Okay.
2 honorable mentions. Honorable mention number 1 is one we played recently, and it's honorable mention because I would like to play through at least half of the game before I judge it, simply because I think it's fair to judge a game like this after significant play.
Uh-huh.
I estimate it falls into the top 5, quite frankly, when it's said and done, if it continues on this path.
By recently, do you mean like as recent as last week streaming on our channel?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. So I think you know what I'm talking about. We're talking about Undaunted Stalingrad.
Yeah.
And yeah, this one is a winner. It really is a winner for me. I rate it quite highly because I'm unfamiliar with the series until now in terms of actually playing. And I'm familiar with the series, but I had no experience with it. For me, this one is jumping up on the list pretty quick, but I want to play through at least half because this game is designed to be played through. You know what I mean? So this one's probably going to be on the list in the long term.
All right. Well, in that case, since you brought it up, it does actually fall on a list. So while we're talking about it, I could reveal that.
Survey says.
Do it.
Oh,
I like
up.
this game so much, that it is my second favorite game to play as a 2-player game.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. Not surprised at all.
So, Undaunted Stalingrad, the latest in the Undaunted series, designed by Trevor Benjamin and David Thompson. This is a campaign version of the Undaunted games where you are playing a series of battles, and depending on the outcome, things will change. Your deck will upgrade and downgrade depending on how many casualties you have. Not only that, the board will change. The board state will change. Different spots will take different possession by different players. You might even blow up some parts of the board and cause damage, or even just flat out destroy pieces of the board. And not only that, depending on the outcome of what faction wins a battle, you kind of just pivot to a different direction.
Right.
And man, I am getting blown away by this game. We only played it the 3 times together for the campaign. We played it once before. I played a bunch of Undaunted Normandy way back. And this is blowing it out of the water for me. Like, this game right now is so high for me. It could be my favorite of 2022. Just period. Like, I am adoring this game.
Nice.
Everything it's taken us down. I really want to continue as well, too. But right now, like, we should just play it right now. You know?
Well, like I said, I predict this one will fall in my top 5, but I do feel I need to give it more because playtime, simply because I don't have as much experience with the whole system as much as you do. So I predict if we're to do this list next year, top 5. But I see we have someone in the queue, so we could skip whenever honorable mentioning, jump right to the queue if you want.
We do. So you want to? So I'll cue him in. We have I believe so I've seen him on the Discord a bunch, but I think it's first time calling in. I think first time calling in, right?
It is first time, as far as I remember.
So 3 and 2 and 1. Howdy.
What's up?
Hey guys, hey, first time, long time.
Yeah. We're having. I think you might need to move the mic down.
How's that?
Talking now.
Yeah.
Much better.
Significantly better.
Good.
So tell us your name. Tell us where you're from.
So yeah, my name's Dan. I'm right on the Delaware, Pennsylvania borderline, North Wilmington, Delco, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Fairly new to getting in with you guys on the show, talking with you on the Discord. Actually, at PAX Unplugged, where I met Barrows, we ran through the Rock Manor Games panel together.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
And then, of course, I saw the Ghostbuster running around. I'm like, oh, that's a nice costume as well. And then just came across you guys from there and been watching the channel ever since. So enjoying it.
Oh, cool.
That's awesome.
Nice. See, look at that.
That's-
Viral guerrilla marketing.
There you go.
Yeah.
Working.
I will say, yeah, and that was a fun. For those who didn't watch our call aboard for PAX Unplugged, that was one of my favorite media experiences.
Yeah.
Quite frankly, the way Rock Manor did it, because we had a full hour. It was outside, just so everyone knows, outside of the actual PAX Unplugged area, like over in a hotel room, because they were able to get not a hotel room, but like a conference kind of space. And it was really cool because they had like the game set up on the table. We had about 20 minutes of each game. It was different, and it was a really neat experience. I assume you, hopefully you had the same experience as me. I really liked the layout, quite frankly. Outside of having to walk there, that was the only part that was like, where am I going?
Right, because it's outside the convention center, right?
Yeah.
Well, you didn't have to go outside if you could just, take that skyway across and navigate a little bit.
So it was
But you
across
could,
the street, but
take the
still
mask off
you
and
go.
breathe a little bit.
Yeah, it was definitely a fun experience. But what about, for you though, experience-wise, 2-player games? What's on your mind? What are the 2-player games that jump out and give you the best experience?
2-player is a lot of what I've got going on right now, whether it's with a friend, my brother, it's always hard to get the big group together and get that going. So 2 players, I could rattle off a bunch, but the first one I'm going to mention, which is, I played 1 game of this and I said, I will buy whatever is made for this game, is Unmatched.
Unmatched.
I saw a little bit of this online, and then I bought the first set, and I think I played Medusa vs. Sinbad, and I'm like, this is amazing. I'm going to, I'll buy every set. I want to see Sherlock Holmes fight a T-Rex. I want to see Moon Knight go up against Achilles.
Yeah.
Anything that comes out with this game, I will play. And it's great because, you get the sets with the characters, whether it's a box of 4, 3, or 2, and you have your own deck. So you're going through your own deck to see how you're playing. You're playing against someone and realizing how they're playing. But it's not a game where, as new players, new characters come along, that they're the ones that are the hot, overpowered things now. Like the ones from set 1 still can go up against the newer characters, and the playing field's level. Nothing gets canceled because of something new.
Yeah. I'm trying to find the whole list. Yeah, there's tons of these games.
This is one I haven't got to do this one, but I always like the concept of the system itself.
Mhm.
because there's so much possibilities, and I love that idea that Restoration Games with this one just has with the idea of putting Bigfoot against, like Dracula or something. Like, and I was reading the other day about this one that Cobble and Fog one actually is going into the archive. So
Yep.
Yeah.
so if you want Cobble and Fog right now, that's the one thing they can only produce so many. That one in particular, you better buy it now.
Yeah.
Because it's gonna go, and I don't know if that ever
Well,
comes back.
I know Bruce
hypothetically.
Lee is gone and going for like
Gr-
crazy
De-
money.
Deadpool's gone. I think the Jurassic Park, they're losing the license for that.
Hmm.
So if FOMO is something that hits you, it's going to hit you hard.
Deadpool was only there for one print too, from what I
Yeah.
remember with this one. So Deadpool was there and gone in a flash. So yeah, no, it's neat. This one, what is, you mentioned the one thing about this game, which is the fact that you could jump in with any of the new characters, and they're at varied levels. So you don't, do they all play very different from your experience? Like,
Oh yeah, I mean, because essentially what is you have your main fighter. You could have a sidekick that's a little beefier with more hit points. You could have a couple fewer sidekicks that have just like one hit point each. You could be a ranged attack. You could be a melee attack. You could be heavy in what they call these scheme cards, which aren't necessarily attack cards, but let you do multiple things, whether it's moving around the board, attacking or damaging your opponent, healing yourself, things like letting your opponent discard cards. Because one of the main things with this is you don't recycle your discard pile. As soon as you draw and you're out, you start taking damage. So you can't like run away from someone the whole game, and it's not going to be a long drawn out thing because you go through your cards, you need to draw one, you're taking damage, and then you're just out. But everyone does play differently, and I know you're a big Marvel guy, so if you go in with the Marvel sets, Luke Cage, you're absorbing damage. Moon Knight, you're changing personalities every turn.
It's
Daredevil,
cool that, like,
you're just
everything is
jumping in there trying to
compatible, too.
attack and do as much as you can. It's great. Yeah, I love this game.
Are
Yeah.
all the boards the same? Does each set
No.
come with a new board?
Yeah, each set comes with a board. Some of the boards are dual sided. They've kind of gotten away from that, but some of the earlier boards are definitely dual sided. Some boards have like high ground bonuses. Some of them have like points on the table where you can do additional special schemes, or you have a map so you can attack anyone on the board from this spot. Things like that. Some really real cool things to vary it up.
But you can play any character on any map, right?
Absolutely.
That's cool.
Any character from any set against each other.
Very cool.
Now they do have a 3-player version and a 2-player version, but just keep it simple and do one-on-one. It's so good.
Yeah, I think that's usually the way to go with these
Yeah.
games. I allow for
Right.
that. They're usually like,
Because if not, then you're kind of like ganging up on for a 3-player.
well,
Absolutely.
3-player, forget about it. Like
Yeah.
a three match in WWE was always my least favorite because like inevitably one guy would just take like a kind of mediocre hit and lay on the ground for like 7 minutes so that the other two wrestlers could do something for a while, and it was very rarely all three of them in the ring at the same time.
And then it was a reimplementation too of that the Star Wars Epic
Yes.
Duels game.
Right.
Trying to find that, but good luck.
oh yeah,
Oh wow.
I would play that one in a heartbeat. You get that on my table. Oh my goodness.
And I'll tell you one more thing. The latest set they did was a fan-made set, and then it officially got published, which was Houdini vs. Genie. If you go and just look at all the fan-made sets, you'll find any kind of character you can think of. Because like you'll see like a Darth Vader set, a Mandalorian set, and people print them out, do them themselves, play test them and everything. It's really an interesting community.
Yeah, and the art's great, right? Because Mondo
you could
art.
buy just 40 art.
Yeah.
Oh no,
Yeah.
I'm glad you bring this one up because I mean, spoiler, I don't think it's on any of our lists because we would have revealed it.
I haven't
not.
played any of these.
But I haven't played it. So
I
this
played
is
it.
one that probably needs to be played at some point so I can know how it actually, where it would fall. Because I think the hardest part is the ownership part of getting the different stuff now being later to the game. There's certain ones like I would want the Deadpool. I know that I would want Deadpool if I ended up liking it. And
Yeah, I have a friend who just got into it, and he loves Bruce Lee, and he's like, Bruce Lee is gone and never coming back.
Yeah, you got to scour eBay or Board Game
Yeah.
Geek Market, and I was fortunate enough to get both
Nice.
Deadpool and Bruce Lee as a gift from a friend, and I'm wary to touch them and play with them because of that.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know that brings up a whole thing. Like, do you get the game? Like, I did not like Unmatched when I played it. I played it a couple times. It just wasn't for me. But I was tempted to get the Buffy one just because I want the miniatures, you know. But at the same time, like, you know, I'm not gonna use
Give
them
me-
yet.
I will say this about any of the games that can do this, but give me a supernatural themed one and let me be Sam and Dean and fight any of those monsters and make it a whole thematic thing. I would buy them all. You know, theme would play a big part for me at this one because Marvel's tempting just for that reason.
Yeah.
But like, but I like the idea of unmatched. So I get that they wouldn't do that. You know, that's the whole point. It's random thing versus random thing. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Alright, cool.
Great suggestion, though. I know a lot of people love that one, so it's a really good one. I'm glad we could actually speak to it, thanks
Bruce
to
Lee
you
for
having on your
sale.
list.
Ah,
Uh-oh.
heyo.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Well, now we're an advertising platform too.
Bidding war.
I got a commission, I think, Brian. I think that's how it works.
Finder's fee.
Yeah. We'll take 10% on that. No. Oh man. Yeah, and thank you. I gotta say thank you. Obviously, it was obviously great to meet you and appreciate you finding us and calling in. Certainly, I mean, we have so much fun on this, but I always appreciate that first time someone calls in, and hopefully it's not first time, last time. I always like to say 'cause
Yeah, not
Yeah.
we have a great time here. But
Well,
thanks
stick
for
around,
buzzing
too,
in,
'cause
man.
You can always call back if you know as we go on. You know, feel free to call back a little later.
Certainly.
see what's up.
Yeah, stick around,
Absolutely.
call back in.
Yeah, it was a great time, and glad I can finally get to call in on one and be
Yeah.
here from the start till the end, as opposed to jumping in last minute.
No, it takes
Yeah.
being active on the Discord too.
Yeah,
I
no
recognize the
problem.
name from the Discord.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, if we appreciate everyone who's actually on Discord. It's many who are in this chat, so appreciate that. And yeah, let's stick around. Like I said, ending time of this particular show is always pending. So you know,
I so want a Macho Man Randy Savage set,
That'd be phenomenal.
and you could do like a Slim Jim version.
Oh,
You know,
goodness.
like
Power up.
he describes like a Slim Jim.
Oh,
If
that
Slim
that
Jim
would
is
be a
active,
choice.
You know,
Yeah.
That would be it.
he'll have
Macho
a
Man
cream.
snap his card, snap into a Slim Jim, he gets +5 attack or
As far as
something.
I am the cream, and
Oh my gosh,
he'll jump on terrain to the top.
There are so many possibilities.
the possibilities are endless. But
Yeah.
then they'll just retire it. So
Yeah.
get ready to
Alright,
buy it.
Thanks for calling in, and stick
Not a
around.
problem. Thank you for having me. Have a good one,
Alright.
guys.
Later. Cool. All right, that's our first caller.
Sweet.
So like we said too, we're doing favorite 2-player games. We have a list of favorite 2-player games that we put together. So if you say something that's on our list, we will reveal that as well. So Unmatched is not on our list, unfortunately.
No.
But you know, well, you
But
guys
two
can.
of us haven't played it, and you haven't didn't really dig it as much. So you know,
Right, and that's just me. You know, it wasn't my kind of game. I
I'm
like
guessing
it.
there will be crossover just for everybody because I don't know everybody's picks. I know mine, but I'm guessing at some point we'll have crossover between our free lists because there's a few I know we have in common.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be fun. Randy Savage versus Care Bears. You know? Oh man, I'm just trying to think like the most ridiculous characters. Like maybe Pee Wee Herman could be a fun one.
That would be good.
You
too.
know?
Well, that's my side question right now in the chat. Create your own unmatched set.
Yeah.
We'll see who comes up with the best one.
So we do have another caller. And I believe this is a first time caller
Yes,
as well
as
too.
far as I know, yes.
Well, I know who this person is. That's why.
Oh, okay.
So I'm gonna bring her in 3, 2, 1. Hello.
Hey Ryan, how's
Hey,
it going?
Safi. Oh,
You have
man.
you have a following
Wow,
here. It's
there.
not just me.
No, that's good. That's good. I think about the kids too. Hi.
Yes. So, as you know, we are usually playing family games together. So not so many 2-player games, but
Well, hang on.
When,
Before you jump in, introduce yourself to the
yeah,
public.
I'm
Or I can do it for you.
Safi.
Hi,
I
Safi.
work with Ryan actually
Sure.
in our other side gig.
Not ghostbusting.
Not
No.
Ghostbusting.
Not Ghostbusters.
Actually,
Keep
that's
Yeah.
not true. Safi was at New York Comic Con
I-
as a
yeah.
Ghostbuster at
Yeah,
our
I
booth.
was. That was real fun. And
Sometimes ghostbusting.
Yeah. But love what you guys are doing with the show, and haven't been around for like the entirety of the beginning, but listening in, I got the part where you're talking about Gaslands, and I know that was a big one in the office.
I did play in
Seeing
the
you
office
put
a
that
bunch.
together, yeah.
Yeah, we would do
So-
a bunch of games in the office together.
Yeah, Ryan was the guy who introduced many of us at work to a lot of the board games, and
True.
that has trickled down to the family. You know, we even brought back out the Crokinole board, so that's
Yeah.
been fun. Yeah.
Did I ever tell you that I don't know if you know this story, but literally every day when I started that job, I had Dominion in my backpack, waiting for like
Just
the
waiting.
right opportunity to be like, oh hey, by the way.
Oh, you had to build us up for that.
I
That
did,
took a
I
little
did.
time. Yep.
And it worked. It worked. One of our coworkers went ballistic in purchasing tons of board games.
That's awesome.
You know how it goes.
Loving that.
Yeah.
We've all been there. I'm still
But-
there. We're all still.
Oh, yeah.
You know.
My
Well,
favorite
Safi,
two-player.
You have one for the topic.
Yeah, my favorite two-player, one which I'm still trying to, get a win against you maybe one day,
Uh-oh.
is Targi.
Targi. All right.
I don't know if
Oh,
that
yeah.
made your list, but it is a lot of fun. Yeah.
Well, hang on. I know for sure it's made a list.
Yeah.
Targi is on a list.
Has
That
to
is
be.
definitely on a list.
Yeah, I think it's on more than one list.
So, well, let's just jump right in then to that. That sounds like fun. We'll do. Safi, I believe you are the first person to guess a game on the list. So, what number is it for you, Anthony?
Targi is all the way up at my number 3.
Number
Nice.
3. And I believe it's on Barros' list too.
Yeah, this will come as a surprise to no one, and I want to give a shout out to Mr. Rao Gaming if he's still listening and watching. I know he might join later, but he predicted this on Twitter. He said, "This is your number one," and he's correct. This is
It is
My number one.
Ah,
two-player game.
You
sweet.
got a 2 for Safi.
You get 2 points.
We get 2 points. Look at Targi's also on my list.
There you go. 3 points.
And the image, by the way, I used, this is actually from the office that we play at.
No,
Yes, I remember that.
That's conference table.
Ryan shows no mercy. I'm sure you guys already know
How
that.
dare you? How dare you? Look, I try to play, and I don't want to let anyone win. Like that's a disservice.
So you're undefeated?
No,
at the
no,
office?
no. Hang on.
No, I might.
track,
I know he
Safi.
tracks.
You've
He
totally
tracks.
beat me. You've totally beat me. But what's good too is we played it a bunch online too.
Yes, actually, I prefer playing it online because it makes it a lot easier tracking, your goods and your points and the
That's a good
tallying
point.
at the
That's a
end
good
as
point.
well. So it makes it a lot more convenient. Sometimes if you forget the rules, it can be a little bit annoying, which I've played against other people online who are much more advanced in their skill set than I am. So it gets frustrating. Like, oh, I'm just trying to have a good time, but there's no mercy again. Like,
And by the way, Sappy's playing the victim right now. I'm calling
Oh,
it. I have the stats right
no.
here. So, of our 17 plays together,
Wow.
I
Have
have
I
won
beat?
6 of them. You
No.
won
No.
11.
Oh,
Sappy.
no way, no way. It's been
Way.
too long. That's
Look,
my
this
memory's
is the
bad.
stats right here.
Right.
You can't
Nice.
deny
Stats don't lie.
facts,
The stats don't
Sappy.
lie.
Well,
You can't-
I would say this too. No matter how good you get this game, there is always someone who's better because I played this game 114 times last year, according to my stats. When I played anyone but this one person, I won 66 or 67% of my time. But against the one person who I played the most, I think he won 2 out of 3 times against me. So I always played the one person who I know is going to challenge me because it makes me better in the long
Right.
run. But yeah, I love this game and it's such a great choice. I think and I don't know if you've had a chance to play it, but there's an expansion. And the expansion just adds tremendous value to the game. But you could play either or, and there's still enough difference with the expansion. It almost makes it a little bit of a different game, but adds
It
some
feels
different
like a new one.
goods. But it's so well designed, and the designer of this game has been on the channel about a year or so ago, and I know that he has another expansion out. Unfortunately, there's no English version, and I don't know if it'll get published in English. But like I'm itching to get a hold of it, even if it's not the English version, and I have to translate it because I want all things Targi. All things.
Oh yeah, I don't blame you. I think I would like to play that expansion one day, eventually as well.
Lots
Yeah,
of love
and
in the chat too for Targi.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Targi also on my list. Love Targi. Targi's great one. I play the just having fun here, not going to analyze all the card strategy in Targi. Yeah, me too. See, Safi.
Oh
Coast
no,
Ryan,
I
same
know you
game
better
here.
than that, Ryan.
Losing to a shark.
My wife
yeah.
definitely beats me at this game more than I beat her, for sure. I feel like there are so... I think this was on our 10x10 challenge last year,
Mm-hmm.
and I want to say she won 8 out of 10, or maybe 7, but there are so many games where the next turn I was going to win,
Yeah.
and then I just didn't. And that's, like, that stings, obviously, big time, but it's also such an affirmation of how good of a game it is, because it's still so enjoyable,
Yeah.
right? Even though that's the way it kind of falls sometimes. It's mean, for sure,
Yeah.
because it's basically 2-player worker placement, right? To
Yeah.
an extent, and you're gonna lose your spot
Yeah.
that you really want. But there's always something that you can kind of go for. It's just, there's some turns that you feel like you're not really doing much.
But I love
Like
that
keeping in
mechanic
mind the
where-
raids.
Yeah, and like the thing is
Yeah.
when you put the workers down
Yeah.
and you're just trying to get the intersects. I haven't seen another game that does that. Yeah.
I think that's why this game stands out for me, is because the whole getting what's at the intersecting points piece
Right.
is really unique,
Yeah.
and it has stayed unique, which is not a lot of these games out there eventually have someone else kind of reproduce a mechanic of sorts, and maybe there's a few others that do it, but in terms of doing it well, this is the best one as far as I'm concerned. And you're talking about a game where it's a bunch of cards, you set it up. I could fit this in a much smaller box than the box comes in, quite frankly.
Yeah.
But I've also got the extra stuff for it, so my box fills up a little bit more because I've got the I've
Upgraded
upped the
pieces.
game. I've upgraded the pieces a little bit. This is one of the
Okay.
games
All
that's earned it.
blinged out.
Got it.
Yeah, it's been blinged, to say the least. So, but
Well,
yeah,
Safi, when we play again in person, I feel like I might have a chance to beat you if I play with the expansion and teach you.
Oh
more.
yeah, for sure. I'll have to practice before we replay again.
No, I think we're gonna just go right into the expansion. Forget base game. Just
you haven't even played the expansion yet,
I
have you?
haven't.
No,
No,
he hasn't.
no, he hasn't. Because
Fresh slate.
Did you get it, Ryan?
Yeah, I have it. And
Okay.
then and
Waiting
Barrow's,
to play
it's
list.
like 7 minutes away. I could just borrow
Yeah.
his blinged out copy.
Oh yeah,
you
true.
can steal my bling. It's all right. It's all
There
right.
you go.
I'll
Well,
allow
thanks, guys. That's my favorite 2-player for sure.
Well, Safi, thank you for calling with that.
Thank you, guys.
Yay!
it. 2 first-time callers, by the
Two
way. I
first-time
love it.
callers. All right,
I
bye,
love it.
Seth.
Rocking it.
Bye.
Awesome.
That makes me happy. 2 first-time callers.
Yeah.
I love first-time calling in, and we've always had first-time callers, but 2 in a row, that's pretty neat.
2 in a row.
So, can I drop before I forget my other honorable mention very quick?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, then you gotta do your number 10 too.
And by the way, the phone lines are open if anyone wants to jump
Yeah,
in.
they will remain open. So buzz in. We're here. You see that at the top, call-aboard.com. Use that hyphen, call-aboard. Let's be clear about it. So my honorable mention might surprise people because it is a phenomenon. For many people, it might be your number 1, your number 2, your number 3 in your top 5. And it's actually Seven Wonders Duel. I really like this game, but there's just a lot of games that have over the past year kind of jumped ahead of it. But Seven Wonders Duel is my favorite Seven Wonders game. I want to be very clear. This is my favorite Seven Wonders game. There's Architects, Seven Wonders Architects, Seven Wonders, which is my least favorite actually, and then Seven Wonders Duel. But this game is really a game where you're building this pyramid of cards to collect and build up your civilization. They play similar to Seven Wonders if you played Seven Wonders in some of the sense of ways to win. But what I love about Seven Wonders Duel is I can win through military by collecting those military tokens. I can win through science, or I can simply win by most points at the end. And the game constantly shifts. And in any given moment, you realize, oh man, that opponent of mine is this close to a scientific. I have to play a block move because otherwise they're getting set up really good. But that opens up a military option. So I think this game is just masterfully designed. It's fallen off my list a little bit in terms of top 10, but this is one that's going to bounce in and out of top 10 potentially. over the course of time simply because it's that good. It has that staying power. And I just think it's really a masterpiece of a game. Now, I have not played with the expansions, so I cannot speak to the expansions. I'm just speaking to the core base game. And quite frankly, if it's the only thing I played, I probably would be happy with it. For me, I won't be shocked if this jumps back into my top 5, top 6 in the future, but there's some games right now that just have my attention at a much bigger level. I will note on the level of setting it up and setting up through turns, there's some games that I think move a little bit quicker that still have some things I really like going on, and maybe it loses a few points for that, but it's not challenging. To set up every round is easy, so it's probably not that. But if you see me talk about this in my top 10 next year, don't be surprised, because I really, really love this game.
Well,
I love this game too.
how much do you love this game?
How much?
I love it a little bit more than I love Targi.
Uh-oh.
One spot. more
wow.
than I love Targi.
One spot more.
There we
Number
are.
2. And last year when I did this list, this was my number 1, I believe.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, it's up there. I do own Pantheon. That's the only expansion I have for this, and I do like it a lot, for sure. There's different gods that provide different benefits and ways to do other stuff. I don't remember the specifics, but yeah, I love the fact that this is a 2-player version of a 7-player game.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you can play that game from 3 to 7. I think there is a 2-player version of it with a dummy character. It's
skip
awful. So then, this came out and scratched a very specific itch. And, to your point, Chris, it has a lot of the same things from the regular game in terms of like iconography and, having cards that are prerequisites or free builds of future cards and things like that, and different strategies to win. But I don't know. I love it. I love the wonders. The wonders allow you to do some different stuff too when you build them, which is a little bit different than the regular game. And the science things are not always the same because there's several of those tokens that are going to be out there for each setup.
Yeah.
So that's different as well. And it's just cool. It's like playing a video game on like different levels, right? Like you beat it once, you try to beat it again in a different way. It's like, this time I'm going to see if I can pull off a military victory. It's not easy to do. You really have to focus on it. But there is that strategy, like you said, in terms of, basically hate drafting or pulling cards. And extra hate when you take the card and don't even build it for what it is and just use it to get money.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, you just sold it. I was going to do great things with that, that mill or whatever. But yeah, I'll really, really enjoy Seven Wonders Duel. I have only played the Pantheon expansion. I have not even played the other one. I don't know if it's necessary.
Well, I kind of agree actually with Brian. Brian has played with Pantheon, and the other one, he says does kind of suck. It's not great. Yeah, I'd agree with that.
I mean, even if it was good, I
think it's called Agora.
Yes.
Right? Agora?
Yes.
Yeah.
And there might be another one, too, that I feel like... Did one get recently announced? Or I could be making that up. But regardless, I feel like I would never add more than one to this game anyway. It's just too much bloat, I think.
Honestly, the base game itself is just so good that
definitely.
I never jumped out to buy an expansion because I didn't fit. Like I
like
always said,
the gods and goddesses, just like mythology so much. It was cool to add that little bit of a layer into this one.
I want to try the expansions, but I don't feel the need to own it. But this game, like I said, I truly saying this as an honorable mention was actually hard for me because some of the games that I put ahead of it, I feel like could drop below it, but in the now and in the moment, it was just kind of the reality. But this game's so good. So yeah, I won't be shocked, like I said, if this ends up back in my top 10 next year. Probably.
Yeah, when I was putting my list together, it was like in that top 20.
Okay.
So, I do like this one a lot, and what I do like, too, is because it's in that pyramid segment, you can kind of see what's coming.
Yep.
So if you're like in danger of losing from science or military, there's a little bit of tension with card draw because you don't want to remove a card to make it available to someone else.
Right.
And yeah, I really like that.
And that's different for sure because in the regular game, it really doesn't matter how many players there are because you're passing cards around. There's going to be a couple of cards that you have never got a chance to get because they're going to be picked right away.
Yeah.
And this one, you've got everything out there, but they're staggered, right? Some of them are not revealed
Right.
at all, so there is kind of a little bit of element of that. I don't. Don't you take a few out each pyramid too? I don't.
You do.
Like 3 or
There,
something.
there's certain cards that you don't
so
have.
you can't count on things either, which is
Right.
cool.
And yeah, the expansions are on BGA. That's very
Yeah.
cool. So on Board Game Arena, you can. play
Oh,
them.
okay. Maybe I'll try that out if I ever actually use my account.
You gotta. Look at this guy, Mister. Oh, I don't need to play online. I have people to play with.
No, that's not the case at all. I'm just gonna text you guys when I be like, "Let's go play on BGA," and you're gonna be like, "Oh, this."
No way. I will say yes.
Oh, I would say
It will be live though. It's just gonna be async. That's why.
That's fine.
You know.
Well, I will take this moment since I didn't do my number 10. I guess I can at least give my number 10 and encourage folks to do that call aboard.com to join us on the channel. We've had two new callers tonight, which is exciting. But I'll jump into my number 10. In the meantime, my number 10, which just really so close, just edged out my honorable mention, is a game that I've played a lot. I have all the expansions for it. And I enjoy the way it's different every single time. It is a game that after my son learned chess, I discovered this game. And this game was, quite frankly, and with no insult to chess, it was more fun, but it had a very chess vibe to it. But it was always different. And to me, the fact that it had variety every time and expansions added more variety, including ninjas at one point, by the way. And that is a game called Onitama. And yeah, Onitama. I really, the beautiful thing about this game for me is the fact that you are going to have a card that shows you the type of move you can make. But after you make said move, you put that card over to the side of the board, and the next turn after your opponent goes, they get that move. Yeah. So you have to be very conscientious of the choices you're making, not just your move, but being aware of what else your opponent might do. And it is a game that generally takes 10 to 15 minutes. It doesn't take long. You're kind of forced to kind of engage with each other. It doesn't have that sometimes long feeling of waiting for an attack. Now, I don't necessarily play with all the expansions all the time, but I will tell you, my son and I do like and it's kind of silly, but there's another one where there's a ninja, essentially, and when you move it, all the ninjas' character kind of starts at the same spot. Maybe it's a samurai, I forget the exact term to use, but it starts at the same spot, but you're not seeing it move, and it can attack, but they're always starting at the same spot. So you kind of have to be mindful of where that's going when a character uses a card to move it, because you don't see it on the board. It's behind a shield, kind of like, and so it adds a little bit of an extra level to it. I don't play with that most of the time. My son and I play with it. I normally play with the expansions that have given me just more and more cards, more than anything, because it adds the variety to it. But I love this little game, and that mat that rolls out is a cloth mat that comes with the game, which I really appreciate in any game, quite frankly. And the box size is right. You know, that's the other thing about this one. The box size is right. Everything fits in it, including that board, which is this really nice little mat. And simple game to play, but it's always fun. It's always different. So for this one, kind of starts out at the bottom of my top 10. So that is number 10.
Yeah. Safi bringing up too that she forgot about Onitama, and it is really great too. And that was a popular one we played in the office too, because it is so quick to set up. It's a good lunch break game
for sure. This is not on my list, but it's in my top 20 for sure. I bring this. Usually have an after school program that's focused on chess, and I almost always bring this like week 2 or 3, and then from then on, in fact, I had the class today, and I think it's a game in my collection that I can teach the quickest. I mean, it's like a 3-minute teach, right? Like you put the cards out. This is what they do. That's it. It's over.
Yeah.
And working with chess as the lateral move there, it's interesting because it's in many ways easier, at least from a teaching perspective and a strategy perspective. It kind of levels the playing field, right? Because like you said, it's all open information. I mean, so is chess, but you know specifically what 2 options your opponent has.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what the pieces are. It's all about the cards. And that changes things up big time. And to your point, just adding more cards, all it does is increase the replayability. But I mean, you don't even need expansions, right? The base game has maybe like 30 cards, something like that, 25.
And you could just always get those cards. They sell like promo cards all the time for it too.
Yeah.
You don't need the expansion for it. I just really I enjoyed all the additional stuff. I liked it that much. But if this is another one, if you buy the base game, I'd rate it the same with the base game or with the. I don't always use the extra kind of gameplay elements. It's really more about that, though. There are some new elements from some of the expansions that are interesting, but I'll be honest, I usually play the standard way, or I play with the kind of ninja-like characters. It's because my son and I sometimes enjoy that. That's how we differentiate it on occasion.
See, Bryant saying that he hopes Fugitive makes at least one of these lists. Well, fun fact, if you call in, maybe you'll find out. See? Boom. You know.
Hook 'em.
Yeah, well, or we'll get to it. Don't worry. Yeah. All right. Well, we do have a caller. I'm going to bring him in. He's no stranger to the show. We had the pleasure of meeting him at PAX Unplugged. So that should give him some cues to know that we're going to pull you in. He was in the chat earlier, and he's here right now in 3, 2, 1. Welcome, Mr. Coaster. Whoa. Look at that.
You like that?
How you doing? Can we hear you? You're on. Uh-oh.
Oh, he might be muted.
Oh.
No, I don't hear you.
I can't hear you, sir.
No volume.
No volume.
Oh,
Can't
no.
hear you. Uh-oh. No, we don't hear you.
Got nothing.
You try again?
This is the enjoyment of live, everybody, by the way. We roll with the punches, right? You know? I can encourage... Well, he works on that, I will say, to Bryant. I can't say because you didn't officially put it in if it's on my list. I will say I have the original version for Fugitive.
Yeah.
So
I think I hear you.
Oh, we heard noises. There we go.
I'm hearing you. Are you hearing
There
me?
you go.
Yeah.
We hear you loud and
Oh,
clear.
there we go.
There you are.
All right. Sorry about that.
That's all right. You know how we go. We roll with it. How are you doing, man?
Doing all right. Doing all right. Listen to a little 2-player game talk tonight.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, I think you probably know this. I was so excited when this topic came up. I joked earlier because I had to join later because I wasn't feeling great today, and I told Ryan, I'm like, I'm going to find a way to get healthy enough to jump onto the stream tonight because this topic is too good for me.
Yeah, I have had the pleasure of having my behind handed to me by Chris a couple of times at Target, and I almost won one last week. I was leading right up until the final thing, and then when everything got calculated at the end, lost by a point.
Yeah,
that's the worst.
It can be brutal. It can be brutal.
But that one's great. The conversation brought up the Unmatched series, which we haven't played it as much recently, but we love the Unmatched series. I picked up the T-Rex Ellie Sattler one over the holidays. We haven't played it yet, but we grabbed that one. They're great. They're really great. They all play just a little bit differently. The first I think the first time we played it, we were like, what exactly is what prevents you from just cycling through these cards over and over and over again? And we find it finally occurred to us when we looked at the rules that no, when your deck is over, that's it.
That's it. Yeah.
That's it. So I'm like, okay, that certainly puts the urgency into the game that we were not doing the first time around. But that one's a lot of fun. Splendor Duel, we of course love. Seven Wonders Duel. But I was going to mention Splendor Duel is one that we've really gotten into since that one came out. When that got released, we were thinking, like a lot of people, Splendor's pretty good with 2 players. What do we need Splendor Duel for? But after seeing it played and playing it ourselves, we found it really is great.
Yeah.
Splendor itself is good, but Splendor Duel adds a couple extra things. It adds a couple of different paths to victory, and we really like it. really the you've got the board with the tokens as opposed to just drawing them from a bank or storage. So we really like that piece of strategy with it, and it's a lot of fun.
Well, I believe someone else agrees with you in this chat, right?
I like this game a lot too.
There he is.
How much?
How
you might
much?
ask. I like it one less than I like Targi, which I hate. It's not a good sentence. I don't like
That's
Targi.
a lot.
It's my number 4.
Yeah.
Uh,
I gotta tell you, this is another one that's on the cusp of being on the list and has a good shot, but I've only got to play it 2 or 3 times. So I want a little more judgment time before I do that, but there's a really good shot this skyrockets up my list come next year. I enjoyed because Ryan and I played it.
Yeah,
I think I enjoyed it more than Ryan.
you did.
But I
I still
also
enjoyed it, by the way.
Oh, you did? No,
Yeah.
There's no question.
Do you
I
like
think
re-
I
do you
enjoyed
like
it more
regular
than
Splendor
I
or
did
Ryan.
like
regular
Regular
Splendor?
Splendor.
is all I was saying. But yeah, I need a few more plays of this one. But this was better than Splendor for me, which I think is high praise because Splendor is a classic in many ways and played well at 2 players. But Splendor to
Yeah.
me needed a 2-player version more than some of those other games, and this one nailed it. It really did.
For sure. Splendor just didn't seem like the type of game that needed to have a different version besides like an expansion, which I have. It just kind of like meh on.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
But this
expansion
is like
sucks.
really, really feels like a different game for sure. Like I'm not getting
Yeah.
rid of Splendor because I have Splendor Duel.
Yeah, I don't think you would.
I
It's-
probably won't play it at 2 players
Right.
with this being in the collection now. But it's a great welcoming gateway game that's easy to teach, so it's not going anywhere. But yeah, man, not really spoiler because I did this list on my channel already, but this is my favorite game of last year.
Whoa.
2022. Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
The tension is palpable for a lot of the same reasons we talked about that I mentioned with Seven Wonders Duel, right? You see what your opponent is going for. You don't want to pick the tokens in a way that's gonna leave something open for them or kind of like limit your next turn, because then you have to replenish the board and give your opponent one of those little advantage tokens when you do that. And then the special abilities on the cards are just cool too. I mean, that adds
Yeah,
a whole nother level
right.
to the game that I think worked better than any of the modular expansions that came out for regular
I
Splendor.
haven't even tried those. I heard they weren't that great.
I have.
Yeah.
I think there's 4 in the box.
Yeah.
2 of them are like decent.
I-
The one I like the best is funny because this version does that actually, which is having multiple ways to win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? Instead of having just one set point goal. I like that too. Again, very similar to Seven Wonders Duel. I think that's why this jumped up so high on the list for me in its debut.
My favorite part about this one, Splendor Duel, has to actually do with that chipboard. So
Right.
normally in Splendor, when you spend your chips, they go back to the market, whatever, right? In this, when you spend your chips, they go into a bag. And when you're getting chips, you don't get them from just like a market. It's like whatever. There's a central board, a 5x5 board, and you can only take up to 3 chips in a row, in a column, or a diagonal. And when you take those, you can't take the gold ones because just like in Splendor,
Right.
the gold is only awarded to you if you reserve a card, which is you just hold on to it and don't build it. So it adds like a blocking mechanic to it in
Right.
terms of figuring out when you're going to try to go for specific gems. And I like that a lot. That spatial puzzle, I really like that because it's kind of a rush. Splendor has always been that kind of rush where you're trying to hoard as many chips as you can
Sure.
to deplete
Yeah.
the market.
Right.
And this just takes it one step further.
Yeah, you want someone to say, "Where's all the greens?" Oh, I
Yeah.
have all the
Oh,
greens.
by the way,
Eh,
put them
sorry.
over here. You know?
But I agree. It totally adds a whole nother layer to the game. It's really cool.
Yeah, I love that part. And I love that there's multiple win conditions.
Yeah.
It's not just the first 15 points. It's,
And I feel like I use the gold reserve
yeah.
a lot more in this version than in the base game.
Oh, for sure.
Because of that too.
Yeah. The reserve action I'd rarely use in the base game. But this,
It was almost like it was almost like a last ditch effort if you had nothing else to do, like couldn't afford anything yet, but
Yeah.
one more turn. Now next turn I'll be able to buy it. In this one I find myself using it more often, and sometimes that card stays reserved for quite a while
yeah.
because you didn't necessarily have the means to build it right away, but
Right.
you also didn't want
But you may not
From
even
that.
want to. You just
Exactly,
Want, yeah. You want to
exactly.
block your opponent.
Exactly.
And I like that. The hate draft portion is great.
Same.
Good
I
choice,
like the
Mr.
fact that
Coaster.
Mr. Coaster's also made it so now we're left to look at Anthony's number 1 and then 2, 3, and 4 revealed. It leaves a lot of mystery here to what could that number 1 be. I like it. I like that quite a bit. Because I know Anthony revealed his 10 earlier. So
Yeah.
we got let's see,
I revealed
Summer
my 10 and
Wars.
9.
Right.
Yeah.
The only one didn't guess was 2 as an honorable mention for me.
He's got a pretty solid 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So whatever's ahead of it has got to be good.
I feel like my
Oh.
number 1 is it could
Uh-oh.
be polarizing.
Uh-oh.
I feel like it could be polarized. Maybe.
That's good, though.
Yeah, of course.
That's
Just spice.
that's yeah. I definitely got 2 or 3 on my list. I think people are like, really, but that's all right. You know, we all got our
Mr.
taste.
Coaster, you're getting a lot of love in the chat. Brian saying, hey.
Hey.
Got Joseph saying, it's good to see Mr. Coaster on the stream. Pretty good
Good
stuff.
to be
man.
seen on the stream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And her.
And her. Yeah.
So many good 2-player games out there. I mean, it's definitely a great feature, and there's lots of games that work great with 2 that can be played with more players. But it's great to pull some of these ones that are focused strictly on 2 players, or nice and tight, or improvements on other games like the Splendor Duel. We just played the other day, and she was convinced I was going for crowns, which is one path to victory, and
Yeah.
I was actually trying to get some points in the single color. And so you're trying to sort of tactically figure out which ones you're taking. Well, should I leave this? Is he going to be able to? Is he going for this card or whatever? It's just a little bit tighter with Splendor Duel than it was playing regular Splendor with 2 of us. I was kind of leaning towards Century Golem Edition, a little bit over Splendor before, but really like Splendor Duel.
Yeah.
That's a good choice. It's a really good choice. And again, it's another one. It's one that I hope eventually has a BGA version, just because
Yeah,
I'd love to
yelling
play it
for
with more people. Though
Yeah.
I am happy to, it's one I'm happy to have on my shelf, but I'd love to play it with more people. So
Yeah. All right, Mr.
Yeah.
Coaster. Well, thank you so much for calling in.
Thank
Stick
you.
around the chat.
Looking forward to seeing what's next.
Me too. I'll see you later.
All right. Good night.
Bye. We have so there's a I do think Rock'em Sock'em Robots would be a great number 1 for you.
Oh man.
I should replay that. That's a fun one.
You have to.
it was a fun game.
I like toy games, as you know, with Lupin Louie.
Yeah.
right?
So Rock and
Not a
Sock'em's
player
not
game.
on your
My
list.
son
Is
just
that what-
got for Valentine's Day a 2-player only version of Hungry Hungry Hippos.
Oh,
It's
cool.
about this big. It has a dome, which is great because the balls don't go anywhere. But it's like, so there's only 2 hippos, but there are 2 other sides where you then flick the balls back up into the playing area.
Oh, okay.
So it's kind of like,
Yeah.
even if you're not eating anything, you can still go beep, 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 beep.
Yeah. And Brian Chandler chiming in with Lord of the Rings
Yeah.
trading card game. Best
Been
2-player
sitting on
game of
that.
2001.
Haven't played it.
I haven't played it either, but he was on the channel and describing it, and it seems cool because it's a trading card game where you're actually in charge of both the good guys and the bad guys,
Okay.
and you're just trying to like achieve like quests cards, I believe. He does a whole video on it. We did it for his top 20 last year. We talked about it.
Okay.
It was really surprising because I was like really like putting together his list. I was like, wait, that's number 1. I was like, is this the right one? He's like, yeah, that's it. And I'm like, okay.
We'll see if it holds its space too, because I know we will have a top 20 from him again this year. So we'll, did it
That's
hold that
true.
spot?
Some other ones in the chat. We see Sobek 2 players is fun at 2. No argument there with that. Like Caper Europe and Curious Cargo. Curious Cargo I've been wanting to try. That's by Ryan Courtney, the guy who did Pipeline. So I do want to
makes
try
sense.
that out. Fox in the Forest, maybe his favorite.
Oh, Chris hates that game.
I don't.
hate that game.
I don't. I just.
You don't? Okay, sorry.
I don't
One of
hate-
the 2 of us hates that game.
I don't hate it. I just, out of trick taking
Brian's a
games,
good guy, though.
I didn't buy in with that one. It was the crew that made me buy into trick taking.
Mhm.
Fox and Forest, I didn't fall in love with that one. Whereas the crew is like, this is great. So
So you're saying you were tricked into it?
yeah, I guess you could say.
Sorry.
I,
That was pretty bad.
I mean, oh yeah.
Low-hanging fruit.
Yeah. With DNX7, Jaipur shout out get discussed yet? No, a Jaipur shout out did not get discussed yet. But we can go through our list right now.
Yeah, let's jump over to the list. And again, I'd encourage as we have, obviously we'll take your calls as they come in throughout the night. But we've loved the calls we got so far. So
Yeah.
I'm waiting for that Mr. Rao call. I'm telling you, he's got to come back.
Danielle saying that she likes dueling type games, which I play with another person. Dice Throne, Star Wars Destiny, and a newer game, Boop, are some of my
Boop.
2 players. I'm actually playing against Danielle right now in Boop
Is it
Async on BGA.
your, is it your turn?
Is it? Maybe. Give me 1 second while I change the street. Dice Throne. Some love for Dice Throne in the chat.
We've got some people. We know some
right.
people who like Dice Throne a lot.
All right. I got to reveal a couple things here.
Oh, we're doing it.
I'm getting shout outs here left and right.
You're getting shot. Okay. All right. So
D Nixon has my list. I think he sees my paper.
all right. So go ahead. Let's just go. Let's
All
go
right.
through it.
So
what was shout out already?
Jaipur is my number 6.
Jaipur is number 6. Look at that.
Yep. So this
Great
is
game.
that's the second printing, the new version that just came out pretty recently. I
Yeah.
have the older version.
I think it was a custom game map.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
that-
pretty sweet.
That
I don't think
I like
anything
that.
changed gameplay wise from the 2 versions. I think it's just the art. But boy, Jaipur, such a cool hand management thing with, you're trying to purchase these cards and selling them as sets. The more in a set, the more points you'll get. But you can only take 1 card. But if you have camels, you can take multiple cards to replace them. But there's also a bonus for having the most camels. And it's this cool back and forth. This game has been in our collection for a while, and in one instance we were at a board game cafe. I forget where. It was either in New York City or Hoboken, and a couple next to us was busting this out, and they hadn't played before, and they were reading the rules. And my wife and I were finishing our game, and she's like, I know. I was like, what? She's like, you want to teach them how to play, don't you? I was like, yes. So I got up and I was like, hey, do you guys want to learn how to play this game without reading the rule book? And they were like, sure. And I was like, sweet.
Nice.
So yeah, taught this game too. And it's a cool concept. I love set collection as a mechanic in general. And to have this 2-player version of it with the hand management as well, and a little bit of restrictions on what you can take, it's great. I love it. It's a game. It's weird because it's a game that's mostly cards, but you never really draw from the draw pile. Like you don't take a blind card in this game. It's just out on the market. So that's my number 6.
Have you done the app of it at all?
No.
There's an app. I've played it a couple times and I thought it was okay, but I want to play it in person. I feel like I need that play.
This is a game that is to me better in person, just because the only thing in person, I can't remember if this is the one that in person the setting up between the 3 rounds was the only thing I disliked. I'm pretty sure that's what it was.
Yeah, because the tokens are in like ascending value or descending values.
Right,
You have to
remember
kinda,
that.
like stack them, display them in a way. Yeah, it's a little bit fiddly to set up for sure.
I think that's the reason it's not in my top 10. Like the game, it's just from the entire experience. But as a game, that I think physically when you're actually picking up the pieces, like it is really neat, especially when you're playing. I don't know, the whole concept of the game. It was different, and I understand why this isn't a lot of people's top 5s, and it's a lot of people's number 1 that I know, quite frankly.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I mean, I left an impression the first time I was taught the game. I was like, oh, okay, this is pretty cool. And it was one of those instances where I bought it like that day or something.
I haven't played Gin Rummy, but yeah, 2-player set collection.
You never played Rummy
No.
before?
No, actually, I played Ticket to Ride. Isn't that Rummy?
No.
Essentially.
No.
What? No, it's like you're making different sets, right?
Yeah, I guess, but I
Right?
mean, that's okay. So at
Right.
halfway, because Gin Rummy you can do runs or sets.
Okay.
So that's
Right.
different.
Okay.
But yes,
Well, I played Continental, which is like the Cuban
Cuban Rummy.
version. Yeah.
Oh,
It's
okay.
not. It's alright. It's okay.
how about we play it? I haven't
Family.
played Gin Rummy in ages. I will relearn it and teach it to you, and then we'll try it. There
Look
you
at
go.
that. Maybe
I
I'll
haven't
make
played-
my top list. Hey Barros, I think something in the chat was announced of yours that is on this list, right?
Has it been?
I
Let me
believe so.
see. Oh, yes, I do see something. I don't know where it was on the list off the top of my head. I'm trying to
What
remember.
number was
here.
it?
I did see Richard mention
Yes.
Sobek 2-player.
Which was number.
Which- which is I
think
got to
7.
double. Yeah, I believe
No.
it was it's towards the bottom there, but yeah.
I'm gonna find it right now.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I'm just pulling up my list to make sure I have it right. I didn't want to screw this up and then reveal something. It would be number 8, sir. Number
8. Right.
Yeah,
There it
I
is.
have been playing this a lot, and it is on path right now. I have to tell y'all to being potentially the one I play second most this year. It's this and 2 other games, one being Targi. This one is a very interesting game that I would recommend, one with the expansion that should have come with the game in the first place, in my
That's what I keep
opinion.
hearing.
I know Mr. Rao would agree with me on this and may mention this later. But this one in particular, you're moving around that Ankh around the board, and you'll notice the tiles have some directional, like they have little like brown kind of bars on
Yeah,
the
like the
corners.
Corners,
yeah.
And
Or
that's
the
going to
middles,
determine if
yeah.
I take that piece, which direction I can then go. And then you're refilling the board at a certain point when when you can't move that Ankh anymore. But there's powered up cards that have certain abilities. For example, if someone has more than 6 things in their hand, then they will have to knock it down to 6
Yeah, if
total.
that card comes up.
You're collecting sets in this game, and I will note, because I think it's easy to miss, that some of those powered up people, their capabilities also do have a little symbol on it, so they can be used as one of the pieces for set collection
And
instead.
there's corruption tiles too, right?
Correct.
Right.
So if I skip over something, say I really want something because it's got a 2 multiplier on it for my straw or whatever else, and I skip over something, that goes into my corruption section. And there's all these powers to potentially bring stuff out of corruption, etc. So there's ways you can mitigate that, but
Yeah.
you want to be mindful of that corruption because that's negative points at the end of the game.
Yeah.
But that leads me to an important piece, which is with the Pharaoh expansion,
Mhm.
what happens is you get these really powerful pieces that essentially come with built-in corruption. And so you're going to lose points from them just hands down, but they're really strong.
Yeah.
They've got the multipliers on them, and they've got 2 types of goods that you're trying to collect. So you can use one or the other. So you got to think about whether to take them or not. So for me, this one in particular, it plays well online. I love the physical version. It's not hard to set up. It's quite quick. It's easy to teach. And I didn't expect really to get too many newer games on this list, but more this year than I expected are on here. And this is one of them. This one blew me away how much I liked it. But again, I stress the expansion.
Yeah.
The expansion is, I think, is the optimal way to play. I would never play without the expansion at this point.
Okay. And I see Brian too saying that 2-player is great on BGA, especially with the expansion, but I taught it with a physical copy, and BGA is a much better experience. Have you played it physical?
I played it physical, yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. I think BGA. I do think BGA is just clean and efficient. So I think there's something to it. I'm glad I own a copy, but I will play anyone anytime on BGA. So anytime message me you want to play after the fact. Tabletop Express on BGA. Hook up and we'll play a game.
I do want to try that expansion for sure. Okay.
It's worth it.
So you have 3 revealed. I have 3 revealed. You have a lot revealed. You have
I
5.
say, on the people's voice.
You are the people's voice. So Chris, you want to reveal your number 9?
Yeah, let me go over to my number 9. My number 9 is one that you and I have played once or twice together, Ryan. The first time I completely screwed up the rules because it was newer to me, but
okay.
I think I fixed that since. It is a game that I said, and this is a good hint, why would I need a mat for this?
Is this what I traded Splendor Duel with for you?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah, it is.
So I said, why would I need a map for this? And then I can tell you right now, I have the deluxe version now, and then you have my original copy, and that is Radlands.
Yeah.
I adore this game. This is a 2021 game. It is a kind of 2-player battler, and we are trying to destroy each other's camps. Now, the first time you play this game, they give you some recommended camps to start with and all this jazz, but let me tell you, the meat of this game is when you randomly shuffle this huge variety of camps to start with, which have powers, to
Yeah.
them, by the way. And you pick the ones you're gonna, keep. You have them down in front of you, and you start building out these walls of people and cards in front of you to protect your camps.
Right.
And then you've got these event cards essentially that are moving up, and when they hit the end of a track, they activate at certain points. And you're feeding all of these cards, by the way, to activate them with water tokens, because we are fighting over water, folks. There's no freaking water in the apocalypse. So we
Yeah.
got to kill each other to take the water from each other's camps. I can't put it into words, like just what is so special about this game to me. I like apocalypse themes. I know that. I
Yeah.
enjoy that. But this just works so well. And I mentioned earlier the board, the player mats, and
Mhm.
I understand why the player mats. They're
We
called
haven't played with it
hazmats. Hazmats, by the way,
Yeah.
and they add so much value to the game. The updated little tokens and other stuff are nice too, but the mats with that deluxe copy, so worth it. Yeah, so my credit to the designers of this one. This doesn't need anything else. It's great in its own right. If they added more cards or something, sure, I'd take them. But honestly, this game is solid. I see this contending, to kind of move up the list,
Yeah.
just because it needs more plays for me to do that. But I love this game.
And it's
Radlands
so
is
small. Like
Yeah.
Where it's right here. Look how small this is. Again, small box, 2-player game.
Wow.
Here's Airland and Sea for comparison.
mine is. I have the bigger box, but I could take out the small box. That's
Yeah.
the neat thing about it. So
What I like about Radlands, by the way, so Brian Chandler just brought up that he's a little surprised I haven't seen Magic the Gathering or Pokemon come up yet. Any CCG players out there. So it's funny he brings that up, because this game gives me an Android Netrunner vibe. If you ever played Android Netrunner, which was the LCG game that was put out by Fantasy Flight, which is now being run by fans, called Project Nisi. And before that, it was a collectible card game. This has like a similar vibe to me, because in Android Netrunner, one player is the corporation trying to protect their servers by putting different pieces of ice in front of their servers, which are those cards. And the other player is the runner trying to infiltrate that and steal points from the corporation player. But in this game, it kind of feels like Corp versus Corp. At least how I've been playing it. And I know, like, the Android Netrunner people probably like saying, no, it's totally not like that. But yeah, but
That's a special fan base, from
Yeah.
what I understand.
By the way, I have nothing against the Android Netrunner fan
This
base,
looks
because
cool.
I love Android Netrunner. But Radlands has been fantastic. It didn't make my top list, but this is a great pick. And I agree with you, Chris, that I do want to play it more. And I would like to point out that both your number 9 pick and my number 9 pick are post-apocalyptic games. So
Yes.
clearly Anthony's number 9 will probably be a post-apocalyptic Roll and Write or something. I don't know. You know?
can I just
There's no
can I-
freaking water duel.
Can I just
Number 9.
add to the comment though, for really quick before we bring someone in? I want to note that I've played Pokemon with my son, and it's fine. I enjoy the collecting and building the decks more than the actual playing of the game. Like,
Yeah.
it's a fun activity with my son, but the actual playing of the game is kind of like, all right, it's fine. I'm not in that. And my collectible card game that I loved was the Star Wars collectible card game.
Mhm.
And I miss it dearly. But that one was my game, and nothing has ever lived up to it, even though I recognize most people be like, are you kidding me? These other games are better. Yeah, I know they're probably better, but I love that Star Wars collectible card
Whatever
game.
makes you happy, you know?
Yeah.
Danielle's saying that she recently tried the One Piece trading card game and Battle Spirit Saga. And that, Soul Forge Fusion and Dice Masters. Yeah, you know, I remember when Dice Masters came out. I went Dice Masters crazy.
Oh yeah, you had a
Yeah.
whole. You have
I
it
had
anymore?
literally everything. I still have it.
Oh, you do. Okay.
Everything from Avengers, the Avengers vs. X-Men set, every single card, and
I played it once and I just couldn't
No,
grok it.
oh,
I couldn't get it.
Oh, it's okay.
I mean, it was I
It-
liked.
no, and that's the thing.
Nice.
Yeah.
It was like it's one of those things where the person who's teaching you the game is then teaching you how to beat them,
Yes, that's for sure.
right? And it was like
That's always how those games are, though.
Yeah, that's true.
Like HeroClix is that same way,
mean,
and I know, right?
Definitely.
I know.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
But anyways, we have one in the wings, and he's back from, I believe it was either hockey practice or a hockey game that his son was participating.
Whatever it was,
in.
it was boring because he was
He
was paying attention to us instead.
I'm sure it was great. All right, so we're bringing him in 3, 2, 1. We got Mr. Rao Gaming.
Hey folks, how's it
Hey,
going?
what's up?
I've been trying to keep up as best as I can that you can watch, 7-year-olds hockey practice and
practice.
whatnot and everything like that, where they all just chase around the puck in mad
I'm
little
sure that was
little
fun.
pockets. Oh, he has a blast. They have a blast, and then I got to get my gaming fix in, of course. So joining in on the chat. My Wednesday nights are extremely busy, so
Yeah,
glad I can actually jump in here.
because I'm totally gonna be that dad when my son starts going to sports practice. I'm gonna be curled up with a rule book in the bleachers.
Yep.
It's all right.
That's what I always did when my son was doing Taekwondo. I was sitting outside the room with a rule book in hand, and usually someone asks me, "What is that?" So
Well, that's
get ready
even
for that.
less
Fun.
involved because it's not unless he's sparring with someone. You're just watching exercise basically at that point.
Right, you wait for him to go, and then
Fun fact. I have my black belt in Taekwondo.
Dang.
Yeah, the cardboard ninja. I should be calling myself or something like that.
Oh,
I like it. That's what I'm
not
calling you
taking
now.
it, I think.
Yeah,
I know
I'm going to rebrand the channel tonight.
No, look, I know you've been having a 2-player month as well. We're going to be playing one of my picks, I believe on Tuesday.
Yep.
Sobek 2-player is going to be happening. So if people do want to see that. So I wonder what is on your mind. I know 2-player games are something you enjoy quite a bit.
I know. I think I will hop on Danny's thing here and Brian here. They were talking about the collectible card games and these dueling card games type thing. And I had just played one on my stream just not too long ago that I forgot how much I really, really enjoy it. And it's fantastic. It's just gotten brought back to life over the past little bit. And that's Ashes Reborn, Rise of the Phoenix Born is the game. And this game scratches all of the card game itches, and it's not collectible. It's kind of more like a living card game model where you just you just buy this master box, which has tons of value in it. It comes with 6 pre-made decks already ready to go. They're all really, really good just as is. You can deck build with them a little bit just inside that box. But the pre-con decks that they make, fantastic. You don't get magic or mana or landlocked in this game because your magic that you use to summon your cards is actually these dice. And every Phoenix Born has a dice value, or dice type associated with them. And so you get 10 dice at the beginning of your turn. You roll them up, and those are the magic that you have to spend to play out your hand of cards for that particular round. And some people say, well, you can just get screwed by your dice rolls. Well, there are mechanics built into the game where you can discard a card and you can change the dice to any face you want it to be. It just costs you an action point for your turn. And the turns are actually really, really simple. You get 2 actions for your turn. You have to take a main action, and then you may take what they refer to as a side action. You do one or both of those things, and then play passes on to your opponent, and you're playing down creatures and spells, trying to get the leverage, and you're just trying to reduce your opponent's health down to 0. It's a very classic style dueling card game, but man, oh man, just the way that this one runs, it's so fun. And I don't know, this one's jumped like to the top of my dueling card game systems. I play Pokemon with my son as well, and I'm also into the more of the collecting business to it. And we've had to have many talks of economy of cards because he likes to try to take cards to school and trade them. And
oh man,
so we've learned some harsh lessons the past couple weeks. So
yes, as a former elementary school teacher, I can vouch for that. That Pokemon cards are basically like cigarettes in prison.
yeah.
In elementary school. And as much as I've seen them, I don't think I've ever seen a game being played of Pokemon. I've just seen cards.
That's because they don't most of them didn't know how to play. Like my son
Yeah, I
only
would
just
ask if they'd be
started learning
like,
how to play,
Mhm.
and we will play, but we have fun building the decks, but we only play the decks against each other. So we're
Right.
building the decks together, and then it kind of turns into, or you want to do this, and then it turns into I use my deck that happens to have Lucario in it. He uses a deck that happens to have Greninja. It turns into these are our two favorite Pokemon, so they're going to battle each other,
Yep.
even though it's an awful matchup for in the
Mhm.
long run. But yeah, it becomes that the kids don't know. But
Yeah.
that game has lived for so long. That's the neat thing about it.
It
Like
has.
it's out there, and Pokemon's not going anywhere. So
Yeah.
we're going to be talking about that for another decade.
So you're saying
You
it's
know,
a good
no problem.
investment, is what you're saying.
It's
Oh
an
yeah,
investment.
we've got unopened boxes upon boxes. My
Oh,
son has his
geez.
own like little shelf of unopened boxes that he's gonna hold on to till he's like old and married and whatnot, and then he'll probably be able to pay for
I
his
have
wedding.
this random pile of cards that are just here. I don't know what the hell they are. They're just that's the example I give.
Mr.
Oh,
Al will
man.
buy the whole pile off of you for $50 right now.
I have there's like 5 piles like that in my basement. They're just on the we're gonna go through these. So yeah,
Yeah.
it is what it is.
And back to Ashes Reborn now that they are coming out with a product this year. It's actually coming out very, very soon. That it's going to make it a solo co-op game now that it's going to be a player versus environment, a PvE model where they're going to, so now you can turn the game not just a dueling card game, but now you can work together or play solo against a big threat or a big bad with a small little campaign mode. Associated with it. I believe they call it Red Rains, the
Yeah,
corpse of
it's a
Viros or
Viros,
something like
yeah.
that. Yeah. Which I can say now that the Plaid Hat Games reached out to me after my stream that I did last day, and they're going to be sending me a review copy of the corpse of Viros to play over on the channel. So we're going to be doing Ashes Reborn April over on the channel. So we're going to be playing
Whole
lots of
month of
Ashes. We're going to do a whole month of Ashes Reborn. I'm going to invite a whole bunch of other content creators that have the game in their hands. We're going to play some dueling games. I think we're going to do the dueling games on Tuesdays, and we're going to do like the solo co-op thing on the Thursdays.
Nice.
And it's going to be it's going to be fantastic. I have so much love for this particular game. I own all of the expansion packs now that they have all to them. I think there's like a total of like 24 different Phoenix Borns, which are the heroes now that you can have. And there's like a card pool of about 500 cards now. And
Danielle brought up
fantastic.
about the length. So she said that it might be a little like almost an hour long.
So if you have two really equally matched Phoenix Borns and two really equally matched players, a game will go right down to the wire. And if we're going right down to the wire, we're getting about that 45 minutes to 60-minute gameplay time. If one deck is going to run away with it, it will be over within like that 20 to 30 minute mark. Lots of my games have reached about that 45-minute to an hour mark because we just kind of like go back and forth. And when you talk about a round, this game only lasts about 3, maybe 4 rounds. If it goes over 3 rounds, that 4th round, it's going to be over like really, really fast in that 4th round. Yeah.
So a lot happens in the round then.
Oh yeah. And you really only have a hand of 5 cards at any time.
Yeah.
You only have a 5. And that's actually another neat thing about it is that you don't randomly draw your opening hand to the game. You actually get to select the 5 cards you want to start the game with out of your deck. You select your 5 cards and then you shuffle your deck. So you start with what you think that you're going to like absolutely annihilate your opponent with, or try to get into a head game with your opponent of what are they? Okay, that's their Phoenix Born. That's their dice they have. What I can maybe imagine what kind of cards they're going to start with, but I'm going to start with my best 5 cards. You're going to start with your 5 best cards, and we're just going to hit the ground running right off the start.
So we should try this. Yeah, I think we should try
Yeah.
this.
Well, I'm glad you brought this one up because I enjoyed watching the stream, what I was able to catch the other night, and it looked interesting. So it's one
and that master set box with the 6 precon decks, like you're going to get a ton of gameplay and a ton of value just out of that master set box. And right now on the Plaid Hat Games website, you can actually buy the master set box bundled with the new solo co-op
Oh, cool.
expansion right now, because I believe the new solo co-op expansion, it's focusing on cards that are in that master set.
Oh,
It's gonna focus.
And before we let you go, I do want to see what your thoughts on this one are, and if you've had a chance to do it, because in the chat there's some conversation going about Keyforge, which came out in 2018,
Oh,
pre-constructed decks. Obviously, I remember it was hot for a while,
I
right?
got sucked
It
into
was
that.
very hot.
And
I even
then
had
it
like
kind of-
I had
then
a
I don't-
Keyforge club at school.
What?
Yeah,
Wow.
but what like did this happen from it? Because I saw it, never got a chance to play it, and then I just kind of I don't hear much about it now, so I don't know where this is at for people. So
It's
I'm very
still
interested.
played.
It's still played. I feel like the whole it was such a unique thing because there were no duplicate decks at all, right?
Right.
Like everything, there's this crazy algorithm, and every single deck ever sold was completely different,
Yeah.
which
And-
was awesome. But I think that after a while, there's nothing else to discover, right? Like you have your deck, you're not going to buy every deck because that's just not going to happen.
And you wanted the unfortunate early, like poorly
The weird
named
names,
ones.
yeah.
And then not only that, I remember there was like a big vibe to get like the 4 horsemen deck. Like,
Yep.
oh,
Yep.
give a horse. And I had a horseman deck, and I should have just sold
I
it.
also
was like, no
I
way,
still
I'm
have
in
I
this.
still have my horseman deck.
Do you?
I
There
still
you
have
go.
one. Yep. And then in the next set there was I think they call it a shards. It was a shards deck
Oh,
that you
man.
can have. I have a shards deck that I managed to find, and yeah,
But I did
Keyforge
like
was
that you
really
didn't
really hot.
construct it. You could just kind of
Yeah.
buy and play.
Well, now they're doing there's Stoneblade Entertainment has a Soulforge Fusion, which I think I saw Danny
Yeah, she
mention
was saying that.
a little bit that I've got a little bit of gameplay experience now with that. I read up on the rules. I have a demo set. I got a demo set from my friendly local game store, but we just never ever actually end up having to run a demo. So I'm gonna try that one out again. That's another interesting one where you just like but you take 2 like half decks. They're pre-constructed half decks, and you mash them together like they're fused together, and then those are your cards that you have to play with for the game.
Yeah.
And it's got this really interesting leveling up mechanic where you play a card and now you get the next level of that card into your deck, and that old level is going to eventually go away if it ever gets destroyed or something like that. So it's got a really neat leveling up mechanic.
Hey, look, Danny backed Keyforge on GameFound.
There you go. See?
Yeah, it was coming back because they had the algorithm was broken, or they lost the
I think the
thing to it.
developer that was in charge of it kind of like
Yeah.
fled. Yeah.
Yeah,
You
so
don't mess with
there
developers.
was something there. So now they're bringing it back. I backed for a booster box because I want to get back into some Keyforge. They have some that PVE, that solo co-op type mode where you can take on a big bad,
Yeah.
print and play stuff that you can get now and stuff like that. So I'm really interested. I really hope they do some more of that.
Yeah.
Well, we hope that you'll continue to come aboard here and join. And I will take a moment to just plug the fact that, yeah, definitely next week, go check out his channel on Tuesday
night.
9:30 Eastern time, I believe. And we're going to be playing Sobek 2-player. And so I'm very excited about that one. I know we were going to kick off the month with it, and cards weren't in our favor on that one, but
Yeah.
we are getting it in. So can't wait to play that game and talk more in detail about that one as we do.
Come watch me drop big sets on Chris.
Yeah, he probably
will.
will. He will. He tends to do that.
We're in a game right now. I didn't drop a big set just recently, but I did drop a decent sized set just recently.
You know, for people that don't know what we're talking about, this is a lovely conversation.
Set collection. Thank you.
Mhm.
Sure,
Yes.
sure. You got it.
Sure, we'll go with that one.
Yeah, set collection.
So Beck made my short list. I haven't played it enough for it to fall anywhere on the top 10 yet, but
Have you announced that Targi is Chris's number 1 game yet?
Oh yeah, that already
Okay.
happened. Have you haven't seen the list, have you?
I am not up to date on the list when I got home from
Well,
the.
we should review the list because we're gonna need to get into this more.
Here's the list.
Okay, there we
So,
go. I called it
Targi
that Targi was number 1.
And number 3 for Anthony. Did not make my list. It was close. It was like probably 11.
It's fair. I can
15.
I can understand the pros and cons. I'm just saying it's like my almost like my greatest game of all time. I think it's sitting at my number 2 greatest game of all time
Oh,
currently. Arkham Horror is my number 1.
man.
No,
That didn't make my list. It was close.
It was.
Arkham Horror the card game, right?
Arkham Horror, the card
Yeah.
game.
There it is.
Didn't we just add a channel on the
Make a list.
Discord for Arkham Horror today too?
I
We
saw
did.
that. I saw that there's a Discord
So,
channel now. I'm gonna have
If
to
you're on
start
this,
chiming
if
in
you
on
like
that.
Arkham Horror, there's a Discord. We got a Marvel Champions and Arkham Horror
That's how
channel.
it is. You know, you set up one, set up the other. Before you know it, we'll have like a Pokemon trading one,
We don't,
right?
I don't think we.
It'll
need
just
that.
be Chris and I trading for our kids.
Yeah, that's.
Anthony
I
wants
just
to
basically would be
moderate.
trading for Greninjas
experience.
whenever I could. That's all that would be. So
Okay, children, settle down.
Yeah, everyone relax.
yeah, you got
Yeah.
it.
We're collecting all the evolutions right now. So
Oh man.
We can work a deal. You get Greninjas, I can get evolutions. So
great
All right,
TV.
Mr. Rao. It's been a pleasure.
Absolutely, gents. Yes, and I will check in with you folks
Yeah.
next time.
Stick around. We're going through the list. See you later.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.
All right. So, ready for that list, sir?
yeah.
We're gonna.
I think it's on you at this point. Or Anthony. Well, Anthony's got enough. Why do you
got
need your
enough
number 8?
covered. Okay. You look at this guy, Mister of the People. You know, we did mention one briefly, so I'm gonna just bring it up right now.
Mhm.
Okay. We have a dedicated channel for it on our Discord, and that's my number 8, which is Marvel Champions, the card game. So, Marvel Champions is a card game from Fantasy Flight Games. Is a living card game, where it's basically like a collectible card game, but you know what you're getting, right? That's the difference. And with
Right, there's no rares or anything like that, right? You're gonna get whatever's in the deck.
say that again.
There's no like rare cards that you might get or might not.
No, yeah, there's no rare cards. But with this game, with Marvel Champions, you are constructing a deck and being a superhero. So I just actually played one today where I was Ant-Man and the Wasp up against Kang, because, you know, right?
Awesome.
Obvious, right? We lost, because, you know, obvious. Kang's pretty tough.
hard.
And it's a co-op, and it's best at 2. So even when I played solo, I played it two-handed because you really want to play off of each other as much as
Right.
you can. And with Marvel Champions, it does that so well. You draw cards, and you're going to be playing those cards either for their resources to actually play the cards in your hands, or you know, just trying to combo as much as you can to either defeat the bad guy by slugging him in the face. But while that's going on, you need to make sure you are surviving, because there is player elimination in this game. But not only that, there is a scheme, like a secret plot that they're trying to do, right? Like Rhino's trying to rob a bank, or, you know, whatever. But they all kind of work the same. If they reach a certain threshold before the players would have time to reduce that threshold, everyone loses. It's great. I really love this one. It's if you buy just the base box, there's enough in there to try it out with a couple of heroes. Like they have like Spider-Man and
Right.
Black Panther, and I think they have 3 different villains, right? It's Rhino, Claw, and Ultron are
Yeah.
in that one. And that's
Ultron's
honestly
a pain in the butt. Though.
what's that?
Ultron's the most annoying in that first box.
Yeah, Ultron does suck in the first one for sure. But there's all sorts of communities out on there for people that want to play this game. There's like a whole for people who like constructing decks. There's a lot of that.
Okay.
I don't like constructing decks. I like playing with decks that others have constructed. So there's a whole website for that, and I just wing my plays off of that. There's
So,
all-
do you mean that, like, if you're playing as Ant-Man, there's only a certain amount of cards from Ant-Man that you're going to use in the game?
No, so when you play as Ant-Man, there's like 15 cards are dedicated just to Ant-Man,
Okay.
and then you construct the rest of your deck.
Oh,
You pick
okay,
like an
okay.
aspect for them to play, so like you could be Ant-Man focused on leadership, or
Got
focused
it.
on aggression, or justice, or protection, and you build a deck around that, and you try to figure out what cards are going to work best for that particular character, because each character has their own special abilities. Like Ant-Man's special thing is anytime he changes form, he does something special. Like when he goes tiny or big or just normal mode, he does like something special. So you want cards that play off of that too. Now that, like, if you like deck construction, there's a lot into that. But what's great too is because it's so quick to set up. I prefer and they're all like one-off kind of scenarios. I prefer this over Arkham Horror the card game, but I do still love Arkham Horror the card game enough so that I have pretty much everything of Arkham Horror the card game too. But where Arkham Horror is, you're completing different scenarios that make up a full campaign.
Right.
These are mostly all just one-offs, and there's like a campaign mode you can do in Marvel Champions, but it's not as fleshed out as the Arkham Horror.
I don't really ever do the campaigns in this one. Full disclosure, we got to mark something off for me here too, because I love this game.
What number is it?
It's very, very high. It is number 2.
Boom.
I think this game with 2 people is at its prime. 3 is too much, quite frankly, though I'll do it. I just think it's too much. 2 is perfect.
Yeah.
And what I love about it is I'm a Marvel fan, so that brings it up automatically, quite frankly. You get into these situations that you have interesting stuff happening, but you can just get this down, play a game. If you're into deck constructing, you can construct a deck, as you've said, but you don't have to. You can look the stuff up online. So it's got a little bit of everything, depending what I'm in the mood for. And I will tell you, if Marvel Champions, you were just talking about playing Kang. One of the first games Ryan and I actually played together was Marvel Champions.
Yeah.
We did it over Zoom. Kang kicked our butt.
Yeah.
I mean, he destroyed it because Kang all the villains are so different. Kang actually, as a villain, fights you in the second round that you fight him separately. He actually splits up, and you're each fighting a different variant of Kang.
Yeah,
So
you go different timelines.
They are able to do so much with the game, and they've gotten better and better with it over time. So this game has moved up. This is going to hang around that top 5 for a while, as long as they're making content.
Yeah. All right, Anthony, what's your number 9?
My number 9 is a small roll and write game
Okay.
that is a roll and write version of a other base game as well. That's King Domino Duel.
Good choice.
So I know Chris likes this game too. I don't know if it's on his list, but I would imagine it maybe is in his top 20.
This is in my top 20, not on my list.
Okay.
This is this is one that I've played a lot since I bought it at PAX Unplugged, but I play this more than I play King Domino.
Yeah, I mean, in Queen Domino or King Domino, you're basically pulling domino tiles and building like a
5x5.
5x5 grid, trying to match up like terrains with crowns as multipliers and things like that. So in this score sheet, in this roll and write, the dual version, you're rolling the dice and then drafting them and basically constructing a domino with 2 different, or could be 2 the same, faces, and then writing those somewhere on your board with the same concept, trying to get, as big of a continuous area of similar symbols as you can, with some check marks here and there to multiply it and make it even more points.
Mm-hmm.
The other cool thing, though, is that there's these special abilities that you can work towards that do different stuff, like mitigate the dice in a certain way, but only one of the 2 players can get that thing. So there's kind of a race to get those as well. And then there's the whole spatial thing, because you can get to a point where you can't draw anything else if you didn't plan properly, and you're kind of screwed because you can't really do anything unless you have one of those abilities lets you like kind of split up the dice and not have to draw them next to each other, things like that.
That sounds like Quicks a little bit.
Yeah, it's similar in that aspect. But yeah, this is a cool one to get out at at the bar, at the restaurant, or whatever, because it's just a score sheet, some nice chunky dice. You can roll them right in the box, and that's all you need to do. It's funny. My wife and I almost bought this game for each other for Christmas that year that it came out.
Aww.
So it was kind of like almost a silly thing to happen, but it didn't.
Yeah.
So we have one copy. But yeah, I think it's a great implementation of King Domino and Queen Domino, but it feels different enough that we own both. Well, we own Queen Domino.
And Rachel's mentioning enjoying the 7x7 Mighty Duel 2-player variant, and it is great. I like this roll and write a little bit better than that, but it's close. It is close. I really enjoy this game, but it's different enough from that because it's a roll and write. So I do think of them as very different games overall. It's not like it's a 2-player implementation of King Domino in its normal way. So they're very they're different. Both great. I love 7x7 King Domino, quite frankly. So it's
so funny because I remember when this came out, I thought the same thing as Mr. I was saying that that's mainly who plays King Domino. I mainly play King Domino as a 2-player game.
Yeah.
Like I like that King Domino at 2 players with the 7x7. I like that because it's just you know, you get to a point where you really need to plan ahead and you want to take risks, but you also don't want to block yourself out in the future to stay within a 7x7 grid. So that's why I kind of shied away when I saw that there was a King Domino duel. I'm like, yeah, why bother? You know. But good to know.
Yeah, it's a
I could
different
try
enough
it out.
game for sure.
Yeah.
You want to go ahead with your number 8 too?
Oh, I get to go 2 in a row.
You can go 2 in a row because look, we got 3, 8, 9, 10, 8, 9, 10, 8, 9, 10. So
All right, so my number 8 was definitely mentioned in the chat at some point.
Oh, okay.
Well, yeah,
All right.
it was hard to keep up with.
Okay. All right.
But this is Dice Throne, specifically Marvel Dice Throne, although I have played the regular version as well. But I played Dice Throne once a few years back, loved it. Didn't want to pull the trigger on buying it because it was really expensive.
Sure.
And the Marvel one came out, and I was like, oh man, this would be the one to get. But still, it's not a cheap game. So I got it for Christmas. The 4 set with Spider-Man, Scarlet Witch, Thor, and Loki. And then when Barnes & Noble recently had their crazy half-off sale, I picked up the Black Panther and Captain Marvel one. So now I have 6 characters. This game is really, really cool. I mean, the presentation is awesome. You get your own little little container of your character with your fold-out board and your side little resource thing and your cool custom dice. And you're basically Yahtzee-style rolling and re-rolling, trying to get a combo of something that's on your board as an attack. There's also a defense too, but you don't always block all the damage. There's some damage that is unblockable. There's some that you can kind of parry a little bit, but it depends on the character. You know, I was Loki the other night, and for defense, there was nothing I could roll on defense to block damage, but every die phase gave me something. And it was like, bag of tricks or like an illusion. I could put out these 3 cards and have Lauren pick one, blind draw one, and it would determine if she hit fully or partially or missed completely. So there's definitely a lot of, asymmetric things here in special abilities, plus your board, and you can upgrade the stuff. So the cards that you can use combat points to pay for these cards, they'll go right over one of your abilities and increase the ability of it, the value of it in some way. Again, I played Loki the most. He can put things to cover your opponents, like options, right? So they can't do those 2 or 3 combos for one turn. So it's really thematic, right? Loki's supposed to be annoying, and that's exactly what he is. Like, he's annoying. Thor is like supercharged with the attack, and that's his thing. This game artwork is gorgeous. I can't wait to keep playing this. This is on our 10x10 challenge this year.
Oh, nice.
So I'll have a chance to play through every character at least once, which is cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
This is one I'd like to play, and if I'm gonna play Dice Throne, it's gonna be this one. That's it's the Marvel IP.
Yeah.
If it's a well done Marvel IP, not everything Marvel IP is necessarily well done. This one seems to be well done. It also thematically makes sense. You've got characters fighting each other, and that has happened. So for me, this one's one I'm definitely wanting to try. I don't want to go down that route of getting sucked into all the other ones, but this one I could understand me getting into. So yeah, I got to try this one.
And similar to what I mentioned about Summoner Wars earlier, this is another game that you technically could play, I think, with 3 or 2-on-2,
but it's best
kind of thing. I think it's best at 2. With more than 2, there's like an extra phase that involves targeting somehow, and so that you determine like who it is you're attacking. But I mean, it's really shines at a 2-player.
Yeah, that sounds messy
for sure. Yeah. So yeah, that's my number 8, Marvel Dice Throne. Would not be surprised if this moves up on this particular list next year for sure.
Nice. Oh, look at this.
Oh,
Maybe Anthony and I will have to play during Marvelous March.
you tell me when, and I'm there, man.
There you go.
Awesome. Yeah, this could easily be played over Zoom if you both own
Right,
it.
because everyone
yeah.
owns a copy,
Yep.
right?
As long as you own a copy, you're good with this one. So
All right, so we're all at 8s. We're all evened up now.
We're all even up. So Barrows,
Well-
take it away. You got number 7.
my number 7 is one that Ryan introduced me to. and that I know he's going to be annoyed that it's this low on the list.
Oh yeah, I know what it is already. Yeah.
So this one is Crokinole. I really like
Yeah.
Crokinole. I've really only played Crokinole 2, 3, 4 times at
Look,
most.
there's Crokinole right there.
There's a whole
But
bunch of
Crokinole jumped
Yeah.
out to me, Ryan, after we played this as like, this is, I get why this is a classic, but I get the staying power. I cannot say I played this anywhere near enough to move this higher than it is because I played the other games a lot more that are above it. But yeah, I get it. I understand the love for this one. I will let you talk about it because I know it's on your list.
You
So I know
it's
there's
on
a
Think
mine.
crossover
so?
here. Yeah. There's no way it's not on his list.
Really?
Nope.
I know what we're doing after this stream. I know what we're
It's
doing after this stream.
Crokinole.
You know what we're doing after this stream? We are playing
Not going to
my
sleep.
number one 2-player game.
See?
Crokinole is my number one 2-player game. Yeah. I adore Crokinole. So in 2019, when Shut Up and Sit Down did their video about Crokinole, the big wooden circle game, I was hooked. I love the idea of spending $300 on a wooden circle to play a game of just flicking other circles on a circle. But the way they pitched it seemed great. So I didn't do that one. I bought like the cheaper Mayday one for $150 because he just finished a Kickstarter campaign.
That was the
Okay.
cheaper one. That's the best part.
And I really liked it. And we played it at the office, back room, every lunch, every day since that board was there. We'd play Crokinole because it's so quick.
You left it there, right?
We left it there. Yeah. I did, yeah. Imagine taking this like 36-inch wooden disc with me on like the train and back. Look at that cabin staple. It's no surprise. It is a Canadian classic
There you go.
from 1876. I mean, it might be 1870s. There's no credits here who designed it, but Crokinole is a game that is just so great at 2 players. You could play it 3 or 4. There's rules for that. There's like team-based version.
Okay.
But you're playing this at 2 players for sure. The way to win is to get the most points. And the winner of the round is going to be awarded the difference in points. So if you get a disc into the circle, it's 20 points. If you get it in the middle, in the inner ring, it's 15, then 10, then 5. And the winner is awarded the difference in points. The first to 100 wins. It is such a riveting game that once you put it out and start playing, you can't stop. You really can't. It is the one game in my board game collection here that is not in my board game collection, but it's actually on my living room wall.
Hanging up.
Yeah, just hanging up. It's a big wooden circle. So if people come by and say, "Hey, what's that big wooden circle?" I'll be like, "You got time to play the best 2-player board game you ever play?"
Now, I would imagine are there a lot of custom-made boards of this?
Tons.
Yeah.
There are tons of custom-made boards. But our board that we have is a Tracy board made by Jeremy Tracy, who we actually had at a Creators Corner on our channel. And because it's funny, when we did when I just joined the channel, I had a whole list of creators I wanted to reach out to, and Jeremy was one of the first that I wanted to reach out to. Man, what a game! Play Crokinole. Really, it is that good.
That
Like-
conversation, by the way, if I am not mistaken, was one of the top 5 videos of the year.
It's up there. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was one of the top 5. So
Nice.
Yeah.
David Thompson and that one were definitely in the top 5.
I know.
Now, is this a game where you would like wipe the floor with me as a new player?
Yeah,
Or is it-
probably.
Yeah. Right.
Oh, he would. He
Probably.
would.
Probably. And
I could
yeah,
confirm
Barrows
that.
needs a
Yeah.
Captain America version
There
for
you
sure.
I've mentioned that, but
Yeah.
I'm not spending the $500 it would cost to make that happen.
That's okay.
So-
DIY, baby.
It's Canadian dollars, right? 500 Canadian dollars. Get it delivered on Moose. Don't worry.
Oh,
You got it. That's my
Oh.
number one, Crokinole. If you haven't played it, go play it. If you go to a board game convention, there's going to be someone that has Crokinole there.
Yeah.
There's going to be somewhere to play Crokinole. And if it's not, then you're at the wrong board game convention.
At
Sounds
PAX
good.
Unplugged,
Now.
there's tables upon tables of them.
Your
So,
bucket will be listed very soon. Trust me. It's so quick. It's so quick. Okay? Anyways, that's my number one. Period.
Can you give us
Crokinole.
your number 7 too while you're at it?
My 7. Nowhere near as good as Crokinole. pretty much worthless. Okay. No, this one's pretty great. So, Mr. Al was talking about Stoneblade Entertainment, and this game, I believe, is also Stoneblade Entertainment. Yes, it is. As well as a combo between Stoneblade Entertainment and Ultra Pro. It is a deck builder that is best at 2, and it's one where you actually upgrade cards, and that is called Shards of Infinity. So, a while ago, when Dominion first came out, the first deck builder, Ascension came out after. And Ascension was a deck builder that was mainly 2 players, where you're trying to knock your opponent out and bring them down to 0 health points. And that turned out pretty great. Then Star Realms came out and kind of took that formula and made it a little bit more fine-tuned and made it way more approachable. Like, you just buy like a $20 pack. Great, awesome, fine-tuned. Then Hero Realms did the same thing but added some special powers. Great. All of them, though, trash. Shards of Infinity is the one to play. And if you think, man, I really love Star Realms. Man, I really love Hero Realms. I don't think I need to play Shards of Infinity. There are 2 people in this world, right? Those who have and those who haven't. Shards of Infinity will blow your mind. In this game, there's a shared market. You're recruiting cards from this market, and then you're dealing damage to your opponent. Your opponent could have different cards splayed out in front of them, as you can as well too. And those cards will do special abilities, and you can choose to either target your opponent directly or to that card to destroy that card. The way to win is to destroy your opponent, but what's also interesting about the game, and a really cool part about this game, because in a lot of deck building games, you start out with crap cards that you need to trash. Shards of Infinity gives you the one card that will always win you the game right in the beginning, and that's the Infinity Shard. Because what's going to go on is, as the game goes on, you could actually level up your character. So you start at level 0, and eventually you could level up all the way to 10, then 20, and 30. And certain cards that you started with are going to become more powerful. Your card that does 2 damage now does 3, then does 4. All the way, when you get level 30, it does infinite damage. So you just play it and you automatically win the game. It is so good. Like, for real. If you like deck building and haven't played Shards of Infinity, do yourself the favor. Get it. It is so worth the money. It's like $20. You could also get the app. The app is very straightforward. There's expansions. The first expansion's great. The others I haven't played just yet. There's 2 more, and there's 1 more. I believe it's the last one that's coming out. Last one, right? You know how that went, Dominion.
Like Dominion. Yeah, exactly.
Not only that, too, certain cards will give you certain powers based on what factions you play. So you see there's like a purple card and blue cards and green cards and like those gray cards. They all represent different factions, so they may correlate based off, if you play 1 green card, you can get extra benefits if you have another green card either in your hand or in your play area. For real, just go play this. It's great.
It's gonna be a long night, dude. I'm never
ready.
gonna get home.
Yeah, it's all right. Don't worry about it.
Crokinole play like 10 times probably.
Yeah, well, Shards can play out. You know, it's not as good as Crokinole, so don't worry. Don't worry about it. All right, what's your number 7?
My number 7. So my number 7 is a 2-player only game that is reminiscent of Unmatched. Again, from what I understand, I haven't played Unmatched. I feel like this game got overshadowed by Unmatched because it came out just probably a year or 2 before the first Unmatched came out, and now there's also a version of Unmatched that has dinosaurs in it. But this 2-player game is called Raptor. So this is, an asymmetrical game. You're either playing the scientist trying to capture these baby raptors, or you're the mom raptor trying to get your babies off the board. That's the win condition on each side. You have kind of identical decks, but not really. You have, like, I think it's value 1 through 10 cards, right? And so you're going to have a small hand of cards, and you're going to pick one face down and then reveal it. There's going to be a number on both and a special ability. Whatever the difference in the value of, whoever's the lower number is going to do that many actions. and then the higher value card is going to do whatever that card says. So there's definitely this whole trying to figure out what your opponent might play, trying to remember what they have played already, because then at some point you're going to have to get reshuffle your cards and rebuild your deck basically. But this game is really, really fun to look at the table. You got this different scientists in their little poses. You got the big raptor and the little babies. There's two sides of the board with different terrain. There's little like rocks and stuff and trees that you can put on spaces that are gonna cause a little bit of a place to either go around, or like as the baby raptors, you can use them to kind of hide a little bit. And yeah, this game is just really cool looking. Again, I think it didn't get a lot of love because I feel like Unmatched came out maybe like a year or two afterwards, and it never really got like a lot of traction. But it's still in my collection. It's a lot of fun. It's my number 7. Raptor.
I've seen this on a lot of lists to the point that I've always wanted to play it. So something for us to arrange, because I'd love. I've never got a chance to.
It's the 2 Brunos on this game, designers Bruno Cathala and Bruno Feduti. And they've done a couple games together. And they usually, if their names are around something, I'm usually pretty intrigued. I like the stuff that they do. So it's kind of like cool.
I wagered this game would fall fall pretty high on my list. Not necessarily a top 10, but I know I'd like it based on the descriptions.
Yeah.
And this one I think has a lot of love. It looks like there's some love for it actually in the chat right now.
Yeah, there you go. Raptor is awesome. Yeah.
Raptor is awesome. Team Mama Dino.
Yeah.
See Howard's here.
I mean, it's so fun to use the dinosaur and just and eat the scientists, get them off the board. You can bring on new scientists and. Like
is there an advantage, or is it fairly well balanced?
I kind of feel like I think I've personally played as the raptor more often than the scientist.
Mm-hmm.
I think it might be easier to eat scientists than it is to sedate baby raptors. I think, but
Yeah.
it's pretty. I think it's pretty even though.
Yeah,
I have to try it out. With Raptor too. Yeah, it looked very balanced. Yeah. I definitely want to check out Raptor. It's always been one that's crossed my mind, but when you compare it to Unmatched, I don't know.
Again, I've never played Unmatched, so I don't know. I feel like they were in the same. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then once the Jurassic Park one came out, it was kind of like, all right, Raptor doesn't have much of a chance anymore. I don't even know if it's still in print, to be honest.
Well,
but that's my number 7.
Well, I'll jump over to my number 6, work our way back. It looks like most of Anthony's list is gone at this point. So
Anthony only has number 5 and number 1 available.
I'll sit back for a
People
while.
have called in. People have let us know their favorites. I have 3 through 6. So Crokinole came up. Undaunted came up. So I got 3 through 6 available. And Barros, you also have 3 through 6. It's just
I think it's fair. I know there's some people still here in the chat. We still got 7 or 8 folks who are stuck around. I know we dropped a few out into the wee hours of evening, but I'd love to see what people think. Maybe
yes.
I'd like,
and not
if it's
the same as Unmatched. That's good for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Ryan, are you good? I'd like to see. Let's give people a moment. I'll tease my next one, but I'd love to see what people think might be in what remains here, because we've got the potential for 9, right? For 9 different ones now. So let's see what comes in and if it ends up on the list.
Okay, so
10, right?
We have someone asking if Lost Cities is here. So it's not on mine.
It's not on mine.
All right, D-Nix, you have now named 3 of my top 10, which is awesome. Lost Cities is my number 5.
Boom.
Man, what a tense game for just cards. The board is, the board could not be there and it would still work. It's just a color thing for the piles. But man, oh man, oh man. Such a tense game. You really, really, it's all about the hand management in this, right?
You guys need to hang out.
Yeah,
I think you're right. I think you're right. Do the BGA thing. Apparently, I need to get on there more. So we'll play all these awesome games. But yeah, you don't want to give your opponent that card, but yet you don't want to get rid of this because you're trying to get those 2. You're basically playing these cards in numerical order to these different colored spots on the board, or on your side of the board, I should say. And that's basically it. There's besides the numbers, there's these handshaking cards,
Mm-hmm.
which you have to play first if you're going to play them. But they basically will double your score, or triple or quadruple, depending on how many you play. But once you commit to one of those piles, you're on that expedition.
Yeah.
And so you already start 20 points in the hole.
Or 40.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
if you multiply.
Yeah.
And so that's the other level of intensity here, is that you're trying to get out of the hole that you committed to this thing based on what you have in your hand, only to find out that maybe your opponent has, like, you know, the 7, 8, 9 of that color that you think you're going to do so good at it. And sometimes you're just trying to not get negative points, which is cool. I just, yeah, the tension in this game is palpable. And for it just being cards, I mean, I love it. I just love everything about it. It would be, what is it, 5? It has the potential to float up. It just, you know, making these lists is hard because it all depends on when the last time you played these games
Yeah.
are, how often you played them. You know, like Dice Stone is fairly, well, very new, right? Just the last year game. But then Summoner Wars is on there too. Summoner Wars could go up to number 5 easily if I played it more often.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
That's
Cities,
been
what's
that's
that?
been one of the challenges. I mean, if anyone else names something, we'll certainly bring it up. But I can say, just as an example, my number 6 is one that has a good chance of being replaced,
Okay.
Mm.
and it goes back to my honorable mention, which was Undaunted Stalingrad,
Mm-hmm.
and that is War Chest. I love War Chest. I've played War Chest a lot more than I've played any thing Undaunted. The system, it's certainly, you can feel the fact that it's from the same designers, Trevor Benjamin, David Thompson. There's enough in terms of the DNA of the game, as Ryan has well put in the past.
Yeah.
I like it because it's a straight up 2-player game. I can play it. I don't need to get into some campaign per se. With expansions, there's a lot of variety in the types of cards that you're going to be playing. And the chips themselves and the quality of them is just top notch.
Yeah.
So overall, as a physical game on the table, I love Undaunted. Not Undaunted. I love War Chest. I did love Undaunted
Well,
Stalingrad.
Howard doesn't like Undaunted.
Yeah.
But he thinks War Chest is fantastic.
Yeah. But this game is kind of had some staying power for me since
Yeah.
I finally got. Well, I liked it before when I played an online version, and having the physical version, it's up there as a 2-player experience. It's just solid. And again, if you've played, you can play this and then go into the Undaunted series for what it's worth and feel pretty comfortable because the DNA is similar, but it's a very different game. You can play with 3 players for this too, but I wouldn't. I just would not do it. So this is a 2-player game as far as I'm concerned. And yeah, that's going to be my next one.
All right. So my number 6 is a game that I first played last year and got super excited about finding both a used and a new copy at a game store in Delaware. And so much so, I was like, hey, Barrows, you should play this game with me. And we played it on your birthday, and I ended up giving you a copy. And then we played the later edition when it was released on Board Game Arena this year. And that is, putting them both on the same spot, Carolus Magnus / Ariantis. So I put Ariantis' picture right here, right? But this is Chucky Mags right here. This is ugly. I love this game. So it's an area control game that's best at 2. And in this game, you are gonna be placing cubes out onto different tiles of the board. Okay. And the board is split up into different segments. Okay. So think of it like a clock. And when you place your influence pieces, you're placing influence cubes out on the board, but they don't, and there's 5 different color influence cubes. They don't belong to anyone. Okay. But you can either place them on the board or into your court. And I know I did not say it's better than El Grande, but at 2 players, it for sure is better at El Grande.
Right.
And it's probably my favorite area control game at 2 players. So you're going to be placing these cubes out into your court, and the player who has the most influence, most cubes of that color, is going to effectively have the most influence. And whenever Carolus Magnus this tall dude over here that kind of looks like the El Grande piece. When he moves around the table, he'll go onto a spot, and that spot that he lands on, depending on who has the most influence there, is going to allow them to put one of their castles, their towers, out onto that board. Okay. Now the thing is, influence can change. So Barrows, you can have the most influence, and then it would change as well. But the thing is, whenever you put one of your towers on the board, you check to see adjacency to the other spots, the other boards that are out there.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have an adjacent board that is next to another board that has your tower, they merge together, and now it becomes one spot that has two of your castles in there.
It becomes so much harder to take control.
Yeah.
And it's so well done with this. And again, it does play great at 2 players. I wouldn't want to play this. I did play the newer version of this with 4. It was like a team game. And even though the team did well, I didn't win because it was still based on points. I didn't love it. At 2 players, this was, at 2 players, this was just aces.
Yeah.
And it is neat with the re-implementation of this, which I ended up picking up at our local shop, and it will never leave my collection because, as I think I've noted, it was also my last purchase from the former owner of Time Warp. It is a special game to me in the sense that they revised some things and they added some stuff with the new version, but I do like the look better in the old version.
The new
I think it looks
version
better.
is called Ariantis. Iantys, but the ugly version is called Careless Magnus. And because the thing is, the new version, so they streamlined some of the rules, which is awesome. And you want to play with the streamlined rules because Careless Magnus, when you get influence cubes, you have to, at the end of your turn, you're gonna roll 3 dice, and whatever color you roll is what you take, which can unfortunately lead to some bad decision making. But there's a fan variant where instead of rolling dice, you put out 3 cubes in 3 sets of 3 cubes in the center, and you choose one of them to draft. And then whichever one wasn't drafted is going to get an additional cube placed onto it. And if you ever take one that has more than 3 cubes, you just take 3. The designer Leo Colavini took that paradigm, put it into Ariantis, made it a bit tighter, so it's only 2 that you're drafting. But not only that, instead of the game ends either when one player puts all their castles on the board, or when there's only 3 spots left of the board because everything merged. But now the game is set up where there's only 8 spots as opposed to like 12 or 15 or whatever, and then there's less towers, so it'll end sooner. But not only that, you only have 10 moves at most in the game.
Okay.
So you're going to be playing cards out on your turn. You play a card out to indicate what your turn order is. So if you have 2 sets of 1s, 2s, 3s, 4s, and 5s. So the earlier card you play, you are going to go first in that turn order. However, whatever card you play also indicates the speed that Careless Magnus moves. So if you play a 1, you're going to go first, but Chucky's only going to move 1 space, So, and he has to move exactly that number. He's going to move 1 space. Then if you do a 3, then you can do up to 3, up to 4, up to 5. So you get to choose kind of where he goes, but you really want to put it in a spot that you're going to get points from and benefit from. And you can overthrow other people's towers, but it gets kind of tough. And then Ariantis also adds like a mod where you can add special powers, which is kind of hit or miss, because some of them are kind of whatever, and some of them are like game breaking. There's really no balance there. But
it's a re-theme too. It's like a wizarding type school thing happening.
Yeah, and it's a re-theme that like it has like anthropomorphic animals.
Okay. To be fair, the theme doesn't really matter.
No, it doesn't.
Either way.
And they're merging clouds.
I
kind of like the ugliness, but for sure, if you see Careless Magnus, pick it up. If you see Ariantis, pick it up. It's a great game. If you like that kind of thing, if you like area control at 2 players, this is a really solid one. And not on the list, but another 2-player area controller recently played was The King is Dead, and that's pretty great at 2 players as well too. If you like that kind of vibe.
Well, we know Anthony's was Lost Cities, but I'll tell you, my number 5
Yeah.
is a game that has historical relevance.
Okay.
It is a game in which one of you plays a president of the United States who's trying to hide his dirty business. And that's a game that I have just fallen in love with play after play after play, and that is Watergate. This one, this game, Capstone Games did, and I gotta tell you, it is such a back and forth in this game. We are playing cards; they're preset cards in that come to each of to your hand. You're going to get them in different order. It's going to be a different game every time. But I am trying to move these markers down in terms of collecting evidence or hiding evidence, and I'm trying to either if I'm the president, I'm trying to make it so we can hide this. Nixon doesn't want people to know all this information. But if you're the editor, you're trying to uncover it. And so you're filling out this board, you're flipping things over on this board based on those evidence colors. You'll see the blue, the yellow, and the green. And the card play is going to be moving those tokens on the right-hand side that you see for both initiative and also for essentially really game winning. Because if you're Nixon, you want to be winning in that category at least 5 times. You win 5 times, you've won the game. So there's an advantage for the editor every time they win as well at a certain point. But for Nixon, it's how he wins the game. It means he's hiding the evidence. So there's a time to make that push for that red marker to move. And you want that initiative because it allows you to go first. So, there's some big advantages you're playing for. The balance of this game, the back and forth.
Yeah.
You feel like you're in the moment. It is on BGA, by the way. You can play this. And I highly recommend it. I mean, I love owning the physical version. I will always play the physical version if I'm given the chance. But yeah, it plays so well even in the digital version. And this is one that it's going to take a lot to bump this out of my top 10 simply because I just think it is so well designed. And I think once you play a game or two of this, you can get hooked in it easily.
Yeah, I love this one, and it's one that when I saw the Rodney Smith, the Watch It Played teach of this, I was like, I need to get this game. Mm-hmm. Like, I pre-ordered it immediately because I love that idea of like connecting routes, and you're either connecting routes as the journalist trying to make a connection to the president, or blocking as the president, and you're just trying to make it to the end of your term. You're not necessarily trying to get proven.
Right.
You just want to make it out of your... You want to end your presidency before you need to forcibly resign. Oh, man. And it's got that tug-of-war vibe, like that Twilight Struggle kind of tug-of-war vibe, but not in the 4-hour length.
Right.
I really love this one. It almost made my list. I'll tell you right now, it was number 16 for me. Yeah, Watergate's so great.
So this is actually on my shelf of shame.
Oh, you would love
We
this.
will help you with that.
And I know.
Yeah.
I think if I had it played, I think it would have potential to have one of these spots
For sure.
from taken away from another game, for sure.
My number 5 is going to be a kind of a boring but amazing. So I got into the hobby in 2005 with Fury of Dracula. But the game that pulled me into the hobby was the original deck builder, and I love it at 2 players, and that's Dominion. Dominion is the original deck builder, and I will happily play Dominion anytime. Sure, there's other deck builders that do deck building in different interesting ways.
Right.
But I love the structure in Dominion, and I love trying to constantly break it with what action cards are there. Sure, there are times where it's better to focus on the money, but I love the decision making in terms of, should I do that? Should I go for the action cards? What's everyone else going for? Because the thing is, you win the game by having the most victory points, right? And you get those victory point cards, put them into your... Whenever you buy a card, standard deck builder, you buy the card, you put it into your discard. And I say standard deck builder, but this is the one that originated it all.
This is the standard.
And those victory point cards just clogging up your deck. There's tons of expansions. I really want to play the new one. I haven't played it yet. I think it's called Plunderer. But I love. Yes, I do love the OG Dominion. And Squirrel's here. Hey, Squirrel's
What's
here.
up?
Yeah. Chat's open, so if you ever want to join in, and by the way, too, Howard, if you want to join in too, more than welcome to have people join in. Just go to call-report. But yeah, number 5, Dominion. I love everything about Dominion. It's the one game I was mentioning earlier in the chat that I brought with me to my job every day in hopes of, hey, by the way, I play board games a lot. Do you guys want to try playing a board game? And sure enough, I sucked them in with Dominion. Yeah.
I love Dominion as well. I really do. I haven't played it in a long time, but
I'll play it anytime.
it's great.
Yeah. It is really great. So yeah,
Well-
that's my number 5.
Well, I don't think my number 4 is on anyone's list.
No worries, by the way, too. If you can't join the chat, you can always just type in the chat, too.
Yeah, please. We appreciate it. We always say you can. We want to make sure you can call in. We've had some great calls in tonight. We're going to keep going through our list, but keep joining us in the chat. And just as a friendly reminder to everybody, remember, if you ever want to join and you're anxious about going on camera, you don't have to. No big deal. You can just use the voice. So we like to remind folks of that.
If you're still anxious, we can put one of those like voice altering.
Oh, really?
I don't know.
I can't promise
The
that
voice
yet.
box modulator.
I really like Dominion.
Yeah. Too ashamed to show myself.
Look, I think my number 4 is not going to be on your list for sure. Well, I know it won't be, but it probably won't surprise you that it's on my list. This is a game that I played to the point, I hardly tracked it, quite frankly, because I just played it so much at one point I forgot how much I was playing it, and that goes to show how much I liked it. And that was a game that originally I saw and said, really, what's going on here? This fascinates me, but is this any good? It looks like chess in a lot of ways. There's free boards, past, present, and future. And the game, as you play it, continues to evolve. It continues to open up new ways to play. I can't give it all away because I want people to experience that, and I'm happy to help them experience it. I have unlocked everything. The designer of this said over Twitter, at least, that I might have been the first one to unlock that final envelope that he was aware of. So that's how I know I played the hell of it. And that is That Time You Killed Me. This is by Peter C. Hayward. Let me tell you, this game, I don't know what it was that sucked me in. It's such a basic board, but the idea of on your turn, you're picking if you're going to the past,
Zoom into that.
the present, or the future, and you're picking where you're going and your opponent knows where you're going, was fascinating. And the ways to losing all your pieces wasn't just the thing. It was when you don't exist at some point in time, essentially you're done. But you can eliminate yourself if you jump to the wrong spot or get pushed to the wrong spot, and a paradox is formed. So there's so many different ways to lose, and there's a bunch of different modules to the game. So the ways that you're seeing here is from the first one, where essentially if seeds are planted in the past, it's a little bush in the future, in the present, and a big tree in the future, which all play very differently. Now there's a bunch of different modules in the game. There's ways they get combined. I don't want to give it all away, but this plays out very fun. And the kind of the copy that they add along the way is a blast. Just so you all know, thematically, this game is that one of you you're both time travelers. One of you invented time travel. The other one stole time travel. So one of you is going back in time to kill, one of you is trying to kill the person so you could take claim, and vice versa. And the story is that really, if you win, you're the guy who kind of stole it. And that's kind of, it's just so funny. Thematically, you could throw it out, certainly, but I dig into the theme and the idea of past, present, and future, even the little things with the board showing how things have changed. I love this game. I doubt this is on many people's top 10s that I know, but for me, yeah, this is my number. What did I say here? Number 4? Number 4. Yeah.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, number 4. So yeah, I love this one. The Time You Killed Me. will play this with anyone, anytime, and I wish it was online. Quite
Do you
frankly,
remember that time I killed you?
you
'Cause we
did.
did play this game once, and
You did.
I
You
won.
killed me.
Did you?
I did. I pushed like a big statue on his head or something like
Oh
that. I think.
man.
Yeah, I think you pushed
Or a
something
tree or
and it
something.
fell over on me. You might have pushed a tree on me, actually. I think you pushed a tree on me and it fell on me, and then boop.
Yeah.
So, yeah, great game.
So, we got a caller. I'll bring him in 3, in 2, and 1. Welcome back, sir.
Squirrel Master.
Hey, sorry guys. I was out playing a game with a friend of mine, starting a campaign of Oathsworn, and
Sig texted me.
yeah.
This is in your campaign.
Oh yeah, that's exactly who it was.
Okay.
So I missed the entire first bit. It looks like 2.5 hours of this, so I'm sorry about that.
Hey, whatever. Don't worry, man.
Yeah, don't apologize
guys.
for playing games.
You guys are still awake. How you guys doing?
I'm awake.
Yeah, we're good. We're talking 2-player games, so
I noticed.
be going great.
Yes. Oh, very much so.
We
If you want, I
revealed
could
a
just.
lot already, by the way.
Well, I guess we'll see if mine is on the list. I don't think so. I looked at your list that you were doing as I was coming in here, and so far I didn't see the one that's on my list in the listings. So
Could
I'm
be
gonna say
one of the
list like
unrevealed ones.
I'm gonna say list like 7 times. yeah, it's not in the list yet.
Yeah. So there's number. Well, there's a bottom half too.
Yep. So far, nope.
Nope.
Crokinole is always good. Radlands is good. So far, nope. Nope.
So far, nope.
Shards of Infinity is amazing. Airland and Sea is great,
Told
but
you.
nope. Nope. I haven't played Raptor. Marvel Dice Throne is good at 2 players. It's also good at 4. Nope. It's not on anybody's list yet.
All right. What is it?
All right. Well, I have 2 games to talk about.
Okay.
The first one is best at 2 players, but can go up to 4. And it's been that way until the expansion came out, and the expansion changed it up so that you could play the original way, or you could play with like turn orders, either 1 and 5, like turn 1 and 5, or turn 2 and 6. But that's what the expansion added. The first one was literally, if it was 4 players, you would play on turn 1 and turn 8,
Yeah.
or 2 and 7. And you might know where I'm going with this. Do you know the game yet?
No.
Okay, so this is Grand Austria Hotel.
I haven't played it yet.
Yeah, so Grand
Separate
Austria
game. That's why I didn't know.
It is absolutely one of my favorites from the designer. But Grand Austria Hotel, originally in the original game before the expansion and everything, like I said, like you would get a tile randomly at the start of the game that tells you, if you were a 4-player game, it would be turn 1 and 8. There was so much downtime in the middle of that, and you'd go brew a coffee, go use the bathroom, finish the coffee by the time your turn came around. So it was a long.
Wait,
It was
you
a
use
long
the
thing.
Bathroom in the board game?
Sure, yes, in the board game,
I'm
there
so
is
confused.
a trash can in it,
It's
but
a hotel. There's bathrooms there.
That's what I was wondering. Yeah.
but no. So because of like the extended amount of time that the person who went first would have to go 8th would have to wait for, it was just not good at 4. It's playable at 3, but it was best at 2, because then you would go turn 1 and 4, and the other one would go at turn 2 and 3. And so like it would speed up, and you would remember what you were trying to do. It'd be much better in that sense. But that's Grand Austria Hotel. That's my favorite.
This person fell asleep. It looks like. Right?
Yeah, they had
What's
turn.
going on?
They had turn 1 and 8.
Oh my god.
That's that person right there.
Oh my lord.
That is a good picture to show that.
By the way, I do
Wow.
want to highlight where's freaking Arkham Horror. Arkham Horror made my list at number 13. Did not crack the top 10 for me.
Yeah,
And you haven't played Arkham Horror, the card game, and neither of you, Barrows.
I have, but I will not comment.
I know you didn't like it. That's
Oh
okay.
no! Literally, the wife and I tried it like 3 times, and we were like, "Why is this so high in the ranks? Why?" I have no idea, but that's just our opinion. So
Don't worry.
don't bash on us. Anyway, so the game that I have that is purely 2-player is my favorite of a series of games that has, I think, 15 iterations of itself. And on top of that, the base game, the original game, has about like 5,000 mini expansions and things like that. And it's a classic. And all I have to do is say tile laying, and you probably have an idea of what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's Carcassonne.
It is Carcassonne, but the
Yeah.
best one, in my opinion, is Carcassonne the Castle. So Carcassonne the Castle is a literal 2-player only version of this game. And the interesting thing about it too is Rainer Knizia joined Klaus Jürgenwirth to make this. It is a very beautiful interaction between 2 players to do Carcassonne, and you're actually playing off of those tiles inside a specific board that's created, and that's actually the score track. But it's important to have the score track like that because of the corner pieces that are there. They give you like special abilities and things. But you're playing off of each other's and trying to get like the longest contiguation of like roofs or fields or roads or I think castles or forts, something like that. So it feels exactly like Carcassonne with a bit more interaction and like special bonuses depending on who makes it. And you have to land exactly on those spots in the corners to get those tokens. You can't pass it. So
these that have the C on them?
Yeah. So if you notice at the bottom of this picture, you'll see the tan player is on like the 28 spot. They passed by those 2 because they got too many points and like crossed over them. You really want to try to like do your best to get the exact number so you can get those tokens to get special abilities and things. But this is, I think, the best Carcassonne. I have originally at one point in time. You're going to go get it, aren't you?
He has it, yeah.
Yeah, I know he does. That's the one. I've played many iterations of Carcassonne. I used to own every single one of them.
You played all
I think
of them, did you not?
I did not play all of them.
Yeah.
But I did own like 15 of them. Star Wars Carcassonne was really, really good. And then Carcassonne the City, the most expensive one, I think, was really, really good. But I think Carcassonne the Castle takes it, and it's purely 2-player only.
Yeah. It's, you know what? You just reminded me of this one, and I haven't played it in ages. And now I feel the urge to play it like 5 more times because I remember how much I loved this one and how excited I was to pick it up. So you just inspired me. I got to get a few more plays of this in because this one really, it is the best Carcassonne for hands down.
So I need to put my cards on the table.
Okay.
If I don't like Carcassonne, would I like this game?
If you don't like Carcassonne, like I know part of you likes Carcassonne a little bit.
Not really. Like it's fine.
Search deep down.
It's like in the 5s or 6s for me. You know?
All right. So let's put it this way. I would put this well above Carcassonne, like it compared to the base game, and this is definitely quite higher than regular Carcassonne to me. But if you just don't like Carcassonne in general, then I don't
like
know.
some tile laying games. Like for example, I loved My City. That's a tile layer, right?
It is. It's like it's like putting
Knizia.
Tetris on the room. Yeah. I don't know if this will sway you. Because it's for the most part about like 80% of the game is pretty much Carcassonne.
Okay.
With bonuses and like
there's enough differences for me, but I agree. If you really don't like Carcassonne, this isn't going to make you suddenly love Carcassonne, but it might be your best Carcassonne experience.
I think it's just so blah. You know, Carcassonne's so blah for me. Sorry, I'm gonna go on.
Let's put it this way: if you play this, just try this, and if you still don't like it, then you won't like any Carcassonnes, I think.
Yeah, that is a great way to put it because this is definitely the best one. I mean, nothing is exciting about the tiles. I'll tell you that much. Like and
it's the thing. Like I'm okay with ugly looking games. I was just ranting about Chucky Mags, right?
Right.
But you know, I don't know, the scoring conditions. It just doesn't gel with me. And I like other tile layers. It's just
I just like the fact that in this one the meeples are like these like natural wood colors. Like I don't know. There's little things in this one. I don't know.
Natural dark cherry. There's oak. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Jocko
yeah.
But
no.
I think the one thing that I don't like about base Carcassonne, they change up a lot in this one, which is like you don't have to, but farm scoring or field scoring is quite different in here. It's based on the number of wells I think that is in a selected area. So like there is reason to do the fields, and then there's reason to not do the fields. And I is it wells? Yeah, it looks like wells. Yeah.
I don't think it ties you. I don't think this turns you into a Carcassonne fan necessarily, but I love this game. It's phenomenal.
I mean, I'll still try it. It's a Knizia, right?
Yeah. Knock another Knizia out of the 200 and something off of your list.
Right? So many Knizias.
By the way, we do have in the comment, Ryan, I just want to address it while it's here. We got Star Wars Rebellion. That's got to be on the list. I have to tell you, the reason Star Wars Rebellion is not on my list is because it's such a pain in the ass to get to the table. That as good as it is, I simply don't get to play it. And for me to rate a game high, I need to be able to get to play it. That game, if I got to play it more, certainly would have moved up on the list, but I actually sold my copy simply because Ryan, Espen's got his copy and you've got a copy, and
Yeah.
I don't get to play enough. So I'll go play with one of you guys, but I'm not getting it out on the table. So it can't be as high, but it's a phenomenal game.
Made number
Phenomenal
14
game.
for
And
me.
but it is the best Star Wars thematic experience I've ever had in a board game. So it's probably in a top 20, but without playing it enough, I can't feel the love and passion for it like I can about some of these other games.
I will add to that too, by the way, as far as Star Wars Rebellion is concerned. I only played it once, and it was with Espen, in fact.
It was me, yeah.
Yeah, I was the Rebellion, and Espen was,
Good guys.
sorry, you were the bad guys.
No, we do nothing wrong. The Empire did nothing wrong.
Oh, sure, okay.
Go ahead.
Anyway, either way, don't. One thing to say about that game is don't be scared of it. It's one of those games that is long, but it does have just a basic set of rules with a few differences depending on what you do. But like, it's not incredibly difficult to learn.
I don't think it's scary. Yeah, I agree. I don't think it's scary. I think
Tell
it's
stories.
just a game that doesn't get to the table. That's all. But I think if you do get to the table, it's pretty easy to learn and teach people overall. I have a photo of my son with it all set up on the table when he was really young. It's cute and adorable, him moving the little Death Star around, I guess. But
And you
I
can
need
see
to
that people love it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
people love it. Like they.
if you had a set of
I look, it's up there for a reason. I really
But
enjoy
look,
it.
if we had a set of 50 games, if I had a set of 50 games and it got played more, that'd be different. But I've got a collection of 200 plus games, and it's just not going to be the first one I grab. So that's.
Yeah.
But I have a deep respect for that game, deep respect for it, because it is thematically the best Star Wars experience that I've had, and I say that having loved the Star Wars collectible card game. So.
And the second note that I have for it too is if you had the expansion, definitely use the expansion.
For sure.
I only played it with the expansion. Like I said, I only played it once.
With the combat.
But I did watch a bit of a playthrough of someone just playing the base game, and I was like, that's quite different. I don't think I would have liked it like that.
The combat's more interesting for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
And this might sound sacrilege. My favorite Star Wars is actually Rogue One. Like, I really love Rogue One, and so I'm excited to have the Rogue One peeps in there.
Fair.
Still haven't watched
I love
Andor.
Rogue One too.
I should watch Andor. I heard it's good. Back to that point.
But that's me.
Never played 4-player Rebellion. Haven't tried it. I know you can.
Oh yeah, that's like a team thing that
The
you can do,
team
right?
one, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, all right.
Well,
Well, thank you,
well,
Squirrel.
yeah,
for your
thank you,
time.
Squirrel. Yeah, if people can't tell by now, we're usually going probably 2.5, 3 hours with these shows. So
Yeah.
jumping at the end, we'll be here. But this one in particular, we got a few more things to knock out on our top list. So
We got 4 more
Squirrel,
games
before
to
you
review.
go, yeah, I said a few more, 4 more.
Sorry.
I wasn't being specific, your hand. Bro, any new podcast stuff? I know you've been
Sure.
doing some podcast work. Anything new out
Oh, yeah.
recently?
So our last episode came out last Thursday, and it was all about the game Obsession. That was episode number 85. Espen, I still got to teach it to you.
It's over here.
Yeah, but it was a full-on all about Obsession, and that was our primary focus. And this next episode coming out tomorrow, in fact, it's coming out in 3 hours, is about a Kickstart game that is going to start kickstarting 5 days from now, or 4 days starting tomorrow. It's going to be a 2-player only game.
No.
And I do strongly suggest it, by the way. I've got to play test it a few times, like 3 times, and it's been a different experience, but a fun experience the entire way through. It's called Kyperium. It's on BGG. It's Kuiperium. Got to speak with the designers, talk about the game, explain it a little bit, and give our thoughts on it. I do suggest if you like anything Star Realms, or like a quick racing game, or a 2-player card battler, or a nice worker placement where you're placing your meeples on their cards to benefit from their cards. You have to kind of think of that whole thing. Then I suggest checking this out. Like I said, the Kickstarter starts in about like 4 or 5 days, and we're going to be talking with them on tomorrow's podcast when
You
it
said
releases.
Star Realms, but you didn't say shards.
I did not say Shards of Infinity. Mostly because it's mostly a space theme. That's probably why. But it's literally just a battler.
Got it. Okay. Cool.
All right.
All right.
But thank you very much, gentlemen, for having me on. And I'm going to watch the rest until it is time to go to bed.
Thank you. Good luck with Oathsworn, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. He loved it. We loved the first game. So
I can't wait for my copy. I signed up for the second Kickstarter wave, so we'll
Nice.
see when it gets here. It gets here.
all right.
So, all right, later.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
All right,
Right. Well,
we're down
we're
to the final.
bring back our
4.
list, and we got a few. We don't have much to wrap up here. We got 4 to go, so I guess it's your number 4, Ryan.
Here it is. Here it is. My number 4. All right. I'm just gonna jump right in. It's Spirit Island. It's Spirit Island. Catch the spirit on Spirit Island. That's not how it goes. Look, Spirit Island. Let's talk about theme. Anti-colonialism. You are playing as a spirit on this island that is being invaded by colonialists. And you all had different asynchronous powers. And everyone plays differently in Spirit Island. All the spirits have completely different powers, completely different play styles. But how it merges together, especially at 2 players, amazing.
Yeah, I mean the fun starts
Amazing.
before you even start playing, right? When you decide on which 2
Yeah.
you're gonna play, you know they show you like a little bit of a ranking in different areas of each one.
Yeah,
trying
well-
to balance it out.
Have you done this one?
I've played this a few times.
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
yeah. I've actually only played it at 3 though,
Oh man,
and it's long.
that's
but
why it's best at 2.
It's fun
'Cause it is
I like this game
long.
a lot.
But it's still it's long because when the player count goes,
It just naturally, yeah.
But this game too has, in the base game itself, so much variety.
Yeah.
We're talking not just spirits, but we're also talking about boards, different map layouts, different cards. We're tons and tons and tons of cards that you may never just see. Not only that, but there's ways to actually ramp up the difficulty,
Right.
or tone it down the difficulty. You know, there's incredible amounts of variety just in the base box alone. Do I try Horizons first or straight to original? So I haven't tried Horizons yet. And I did pick it up. I did pick up the new Target box. So Horizons of Spirit Island.
Yep.
And that's one I actually wanted to introduce Barros into to see how it's going to play. But from what I could tell, like Horizons is basically just the same game, but
Yeah.
with less, not as nice components. Like it's
Well,
not,
yeah.
I mean,
it's
different.
It's
yeah.
cheaper. It's a cheaper version
Yeah.
for sure for that reson. And I think the spirits are. I haven't played.
There's
it.
only
I think
3 of them.
They're less complicated than
They are.
most of the ones in the base
Yeah.
game. So
it sounds like less bang for your buck too, but it's also more of an easier entry point simply because they've probably
Right.
streamlined
So
it.
if you got that first, you'd be fine because if you love it, you can then get the other version, and the spirits
And you bring them over.
can play in that new version too. So
Right.
you're not like you're not forced to choose one or the other.
Yeah.
But I think if you haven't played it,
Yeah, pretty
buy the
much straight
cheaper
on the
one,
simple
see if
play.
you like it, and then you can jump into the other ones.
And I just love the aesthetic. Like, it's so great that the only plastic are the colonialists that are invading.
Yeah.
I love that. You know, quite. Yeah, I mean, but the thing is, it's all cardboard. It's you don't have the you don't have the plastic.
Right.
You don't have that aesthetic there. You don't have the modular boards. It's all like the same board. You know. And yeah, it's worth getting for this. Oh, I thought it was only 3 spirits. Okay, 5 spirits.
Oh, okay.
Even better.
Yeah.
You know. But all of them play radically different. And there's different difficulty levels too. There's some intro ones. There's
Yeah.
some advanced ones.
Yeah.
There's also tons of expansions if you really like diving into it. If you like, I don't know, like if you like that sort of thing. Now here's one thing I do want to bring up actually. Cooperative games are always plagued by quarterbacking in alpha gaming. Spirit Island is everyone playing such unique roles
Right.
that it kind of mitigates that a little bit, unless you're playing with someone who really knows everything and also is quarterbacking and all
Right.
and alpha gaming and kind of telling you what to do. But you know, this game, like, if this excites you about going anti-colonialism and just knocking some teeth out or scaring the colonials off the island, what a joy.
Yeah.
And the rulebook is awful. I'm just like letting you know right now, the rulebook is awful. The first time I played this, it was all right. But it really grew on me after a couple plays, and I just adore everything about this game and want to play it like every time I talk about it. So that's my number 4, Spirit Island. Go try it. And if you like solo gaming, definitely give it a shot for solo gaming as well too. And if you're up for it, try two-handed solo on it. It's not. I mean, if you have the time for it, it is worth it. Anyways, that's Spirit Island.
Yeah, I really enjoy this game too.
All right, Chris.
What? Well, my number 3 is probably the one that some people are like, okay. But it's a classic game that I love, and it's not a 2-player only game, but it is a game I feel plays best at 2-player. I did look it up before and see what if the internet agreed with me, and according to Board Game Geek, they do agree with me. This game, to give you a little bit of a hint, is the number 2 abstract game on BGG, and that is Azul.
Yeah.
I love Azul. I play Azul second most to Targi over the past 3 to 4 years based on statistics. I have the spruced up stuff for it, all the extra things. But this game at 2-player has a beautiful back and forth happening. It has the look and appeal that makes me want to play the game if I was to walk by it. So it's got that table presence. Everything about this game, really, from the ability for me to teach it to pretty much anyone, to the fact that there's so much strategy that goes into it as you are actually playing, and the fact that I have introduced more people into this hobby through this game, to me, that it stands out to me. So at 2 players, Azul, there's not much more to be said, really, quite frankly. To me, it earns this spot, and it's a game that will always be. That's a good question. Is OG Azul my preferred one? You know, I was gonna say at one point that Summer Pavilion was taking over because I really did like Summer Pavilion, but I play so much of OG that I think in the long run, the simplicity of the game and the straightforwardness of it probably makes it my preferred one. I do have the Queen's whatever one that I still haven't played, that I've had for like a year, but and I've been told I might like quite a bit, but that's definitely heavier, more Euro style. But yeah, I think OG Azul is my favorite right now, though I really do like Summer Pavilion. I would say Summer Pavilion falls in my top 50 games all time. Azul is a little bit higher on that list than Summer.
Yeah.
So
I didn't
yeah,
know there was supposed to be an Azul tournament that didn't happen at PAX.
there was supposed to be. I don't know if they didn't get enough. I'm not sure, but yeah, I love Azul. I think I
Those
told you
tournaments
I'd
can be
enter
kinda
Azul
weird.
tournament any day of the week.
Yeah. So let's see. My number 3 is a game that I actually played a lot with Squirrel, who's in the chat right now. Now, here's the thing. Board Game Geek marks this game best at 4. I really think it's best at 2. Squirrel hates this game after playing it a lot of times with me on this one, but I adore this game. It's a action selection game that combines deduction, that combines a parody of higher learning, and is also app driven. And that is my number 3, Alchemist.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Okay.
So, Alchemist is one of my all-time favorites. It is, and here's a picture of like the app integration portion of it. Yeah, that one. So, this game came out in 2014. I picked it up at a game store in Washington, D.C. called Labyrinth. And man, oh man, I adore everything about this game. So, in this game, you are trying to get the most victory points. And you primarily get victory points by putting out different theories and publishing your theories as to the chemical composition of different ingredients. And there's all different kinds of ingredients. There's 8 different ones. There's like, crow's foot and mushroom and mandrake root and, all that stuff, right? And in order to figure out the combination, you are taking 2 ingredients and mixing a potion with them. And depending on the outcome of the potion, which is determined by the app, you scan the picture of it, you'll know what formulations can be crossed off. And there's only one unique one per, so you're kind of doing like a Sudoku kind of thing where you process elimination. Okay, I know this one's this, so it can't be any of these. And the thing about this game is that the less players you have, and this is why I love it that too, the less players you have, the more cubes you're given, action cubes you're given to place on the board. The more cubes you have, the more opportunities there is for deduction.
Okay.
For you to take out actions to do deduction. And if you have more players, you get less cubes, so you have to kind of deduce based off of the other players too. But I like deducing and mixing the ingredients and scanning the potions and hearing that fun sound and sometimes even drinking the potion and testing on yourself and then getting the negative effects that are there. It is a logic puzzle for sure. It is a logic puzzle on top of a really fun action selection game that, again, it parodies higher learning. So anytime you have to publish a theory, you're spending money to publish your own theories because that's just how education printing works. And even when you publish a theory, you're putting down a little certificate on there indicating how many points you're going to get at the end of the game for it. And some of them are going to give you 3 points, some of them are going to give you 5 points, but some of them give you no points, but they have a question mark on them for a specific color, which means you're sure about 2 of the 3. So, because the thing is, you could debunk theories from other players or even yourself and then immediately publish your own stuff. And it just gets to that point where you're just constantly playing with your own board. And the thing about this game, too, is the very first time you play it, the first couple times you play it, you really need to get the deduction down because there are going to be times where you are going to completely mess up.
I think I would be awful at this game.
You might be. But here's the thing. You can be awful at this game. But it's not really, you don't really win for having the best deduction.
Okay.
Because at the end of the game, you win by having the best reputation. You get reputation by publishing theories and stuff. But you don't need to be right about those theories. You also get reputation by selling potions to different travelers that come by, and you don't necessarily need to guarantee them that they're going to get the exact thing. And it's just wild. It's such a parody.
This feels like a game I'm going to play with you once and be like, all right, that was cool.
You might. It might. But let me tell you, if this game clicks the way it clicks for me, and I've ran into a lot of people that this didn't click with. Like, yeah, Squirrel saying he's played 9 times, still doesn't understand the scoring. and it's just, it clicks for me, for sure. Like, this is like my kind of thing. Definitely the deduction thing, as well as an engaging player interaction kind of thing, where you're trying to just BS your entire way through the entire game. I love that. I love the story it tells. I love everything about it. It's just oozing with theme on top of brilliant mechanics. I adore this game. Try it out. If you don't like app-driven games, totally understandable. But unfortunately, you cannot play it without the app.
Right.
There's a way you can play with the app, but then one player effectively is the app and cannot play.
Got it.
Don't bother. If you don't like app-driven games, it's probably not going to change your mind. But there's very little app integration. It's just you use the app just to scan the potions. That's literally all it's doing. The rest
now,
is
when you
all...
scan a potion, if your opponent scans that same potion, they're going to get the same result?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because you're all tied into like the same game.
Got
There's like
it,
a 4-digit code to all tie into the same formula. I love this game. It makes me very happy. I want to play it all the time. It's also really good. There's a really good unofficial solo variant as well too. And that is Alchemist by Matheus Cochery, who also did Deal with the Devil. They came out last year. That I still haven't played yet. That I really want to play. That has been getting extremely polarizing reviews online. Much like Alchemist. It's pretty polarizing. Yeah, Alchemist is great.
That means we only have one left, and that is your number 1, Anthony, which
Anthony's
is
number
somehow
1.
stayed.
All that's left. All right, so my number 1 is definitely an older game at this point. However, it still keeps getting new versions constantly, and I'm a sucker for them. I don't have them all, but that's not because I don't want them all. This is Patchwork. You probably hate this game.
Nope.
No?
It's my number 11.
Wait, really?
Swear to God.
Wow.
Yeah.
See, I would feel like this was your reasoning behind not liking a lot of roll and write games. I would feel would apply to this.
No, not at all.
Solo
I'll get
thing
into
almost.
why after.
All right. So yeah, this is 2-player only game. Polyominoes. You try to fill up this grid as much as you can, basically, because at the end of the game, man, you're gonna get your ass kicked by losing 2 points per
Empty square.
empty square. So very often this game ends with both players having negative points and the person who just sucked less being the winner. But there's a whole management to how you're getting these polyomino pieces because they're going to be splayed around the board, and you can basically, from a certain pawn that starts, you're going to be able to choose the first, second, or third piece after that pawn if you can afford it. It's because you got to spend buttons to buy these pieces as well. So you spend money to buy them. So some of them are cheaper, some of them are even free, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But the shape of them is like unruly, right? So they don't necessarily fit in a very nice way. The ones that are nicer fitting are going to cost you more money. But in addition to the currency of it, they also cost you time to basically sew these pieces onto your quill. And that's dictated by the center board where you're going to move your piece that many spaces. So the game is going to end when everyone gets to the middle of that time track. But also along the track are spots that are going to give you more currency, give you more buttons. And there's also these single pieces that if you're the first one to get there, you can pick that up, which is clutch because you get a lot of instances where you have like one opening to fill in with just that single piece.
Yeah.
And even if it's not, again, you're going to
It's
lose
good.
2 points.
Yeah.
So cover up as much as you can. In addition to that, there's a bonus for getting a complete 7x7 square first. That gives you bonus points. What I like about this game is that you're not going to necessarily win if you get that 7x7 first. I have plenty of games where my wife has gotten that and I've still won because there's still a lot of space left over after you get that 7x7.
Mm-hmm.
But even though there's not a lot of interaction, there is, because you're looking at this circular, layout of these pieces, and the pawn is going to keep going around. So you might miss something the first time around, but you're planning on getting it next time. You better save up those buttons because some of these things are really expensive. And if you can't afford something, you can kind of move forward and get some money as kind of like a catch-up mechanism sort of thing. There's Americana version, there's the original version, there's a Valentine's version, there's a Christmas version, there's a Halloween version, there's an Express version, there's a Doodle version. I don't have all of them, but I have a few of them.
I heard the Doodle's not good.
It's okay.
Yeah.
It's the only one that I think plays more than 2 players, but it's very like...
And the Halloween version was the first one that they did some rebalancing.
Rebalanced, yeah.
Yes,
So
there's different
that
tiles in
I
there.
have the Halloween and the Christmas one. I know.
Yeah.
So or
This
the
is also on our
present
10x10
holiday one.
challenge this year for that reason, because it can get played so often. Obviously, you can play any version you want, but it's like, it's Christmas time. Let's play the Christmas one. Or here comes, 4th of July. Let's play the Americana one.
There's a Valentine's Day one.
There is. And
Yeah. Uh-oh.
No, I didn't get it.
Too
I didn't
many?
get it. I thought about trying to. Actually, I stopped at Time Warp a few weeks back to see if they had it. And if they did, I was going to buy it for my wife for Valentine's Day. But then they didn't have it. And luckily, because after that, my wife was like, let's not do presents this year for Valentine's Day.
Oh, there you go.
Okay. But yeah, maybe someday I'll pick it up.
So there's one thing I want to disagree with.
Yeah.
With. I think there's a lot of player interaction in this game. I think there's tremendous amounts because the thing is, this game is partially a race. And
it's true.
you want to make sure because whoever is in behind gets to go.
Right.
And whatever you want to take, you want to make sure you could do at least 2 plays as much as
That's
you
right.
can.
I failed to mention that. If you're
Yeah.
behind, you can go until you are no longer behind. So yeah.
And
you
I
could
think
get
there's a
few.
constant struggle with trying to figure out what your opponent's going to do. And also making sure that you're kind of tailing them and kind of hate drafting them.
Right.
And also making sure what you take is not going to open up spots for them. So that's why I think there's a lot of player interaction with this. Deceptively so, because it's such a... You're spending a lot of time placing the things on your board.
Right.
But you really want to see how that race is going and how your opponent is playing their stuff as well too. because whatever tile is given out, you want to make sure that they can't afford it, and if they can afford it, you want to make sure it's one that they do not want.
Right.
So that's why I adore Patchwork for that reason.
Yeah, because as the game goes on, there's going to be less just space, obviously.
Right.
So if there's some bigger chunks that are out there still, nobody's going to be able to.
Because it's very satisfying when you could do multiple plays in one and be like, yep, boop, boop, boop. Oh, I just passed the button, and now also I built this button economy engine.
Yeah, I just spent all this money and I passed this spot and got it all back.
Like, yeah, I this was my number 11. I love Uwe Rosenberg. So when I saw that this was coming out and people were putting a lot of buzz for it, this really made me solidify. Uwe is.
I was late to the table on this overall, but man, that I stay there once I got there.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a phenomenal game. By the way, I did see a comment in there.
Oh,
was hoping. Oh, I think we were.
Oh, that's me. Sorry.
Yeah. No, it's all good. No, was hoping Patrick or Santorini got some love. I like and appreciate Santorini. I really do. It's just fallen way down my list, but Patchwork is in that top 15. I think certain games jumped ahead of it, but Patchwork is always in the conversation. It's such an easy game to teach people, but at the same time, you're really engaged with the decisions the other person's making, and that's where that interaction comes in for me. And I love it.
Right? 20, 30 minutes, and this is done.
Yeah.
And Patchwork is a great one. Kind of kicked off the Polyomino craze so much, I almost forgotten about it. But yeah, and that's true too, because of those Polyomino kind of games, I think Baron Park's my favorite one.
And Rosenberg has a bunch of them.
And Rosenberg has a bunch. Yeah. But I think I like the achievements and the statues and all that stuff of Baron Park, but I wouldn't play. I mean, Baron Park's fine at 2, but I would prefer Patchwork at 2. And yeah, Patchwork is I that's why I was saying I do like tile layers to some degree. I like that Polyomino kind of thing. See, Baron Park is great too. Yeah, see, and that's not Uwe. That's Phil Walker Harding. Is that? And look, Squirrel's bringing up Boop because there was talk about Santorini, and we did talk about Boop earlier. And that is on Board Game Arena. Boop is pretty cool.
Yeah, Boop looks fun. Yeah, definitely want to try that.
Boop
I think that's another one I could probably purchase and start to integrate into the chess club as well.
Oh yeah.
For that
in a heartbeat. In a heartbeat. Boop is a ton of fun.
Do you have Santorini in the chess club?
I own Santorini. I haven't brought it yet. I'm skeptical sometimes of bringing certain games because there's so many kids in this class. There's 19 kids in this class, and so it's hard for me to keep track of everything. Yeah. And if there's ever an odd number of there's 19 is an odd number obviously, but anytime there's an odd number of kids there, I have to play with someone so that someone is not just sitting there.
That's fair.
Right, and then it's I don't know. I should bring it though. There's only 2 weeks left. Maybe I'll bring it next week.
Tried Shobu. Anyone play Shobu?
That's on my list.
Really satisfying too.
Yeah.
And
the other game that I didn't mention that could very easily be honorable mention is TAK. TAK. I played that recently over the summer, but I only played once, so it's really hard to judge. But I loved it. So my friend Marcel introduced me to that one, and there's a university edition of it that I would need to get, quite frankly, but it's high rated in the abstract category.
Shobu is the one with the rope, right? Or what am I thinking of?
Isn't it? Yeah, it's a rope and little chunky rock things. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know the
There's
Boop
something
designer
else that
did
came
Shobu.
out recently too that has a similar look to this, but I feel like the pieces are flatter.
Is the one where they're stacking, they almost look like hamburgers? Yeah. They look like you're making hamburgers or something, sandwiches. I saw that online.
Clack together and stack up.
Like Food Chain Magnate, right? Making hamburgers.
Sure.
It's not Food Chain.
Not a 2-player game.
No, that's not a 2-player game.
But this has been fun.
Yeah, look, 2-player games, you can go back and forth. I think when it comes down to it, a lot of 2-player game also comes down to who you get to play with games a lot. Targi is my number one, but my wife will not play it with me. But a lot of the other games that get a lot of play, my wife will play with me. So that does help shape my list quite a bit. and that's why certain things have fallen off, maybe because they haven't been played as much. But some stuff just kind of stands the test of time.
Yeah, and I gravitate towards 2-player because honestly, it's just easier to play 2-player, right? Easier to get people for a 2-player game versus a 3-player or 4-player game.
Yeah. Well, it's always fun to do call aboard. We are wrapping up in the next 2 weeks. Over the next 2 weeks, we'll still be playing for a bit here with 2-player games. It is 2-player month. Yeah, and thank you. Thank you for staying up with us.
Yeah.
We appreciate it.
Recently joined our Discord.
Yeah. Is there anything else on your mind? I would just say, everyone, we will be back every 3 weeks with Call Aboard, new topic in 3 weeks, certainly. I know we're also excited about some new programming coming up over the course of the next few months. So just that friendly welcome, of course. So glad to have Anthony officially on board with us now, but Brian and Danielle, who are bringing new programming to the channel as well. So that's super exciting.
Can we get the kids? You get it ready.
Yeah.
No, I have to take it home now. I can't stay here anymore.
That's true. Yeah, I think the next call aboard we're doing is going to be a favorite game, just in general. Whoa.
Yeah. Our next month is best of month. It is a lot of best of videos. We tend to wait, as we've noted before, if you're new to the channel, we tend to wait a little bit into the year to do this because we want to get a chance to play a lot of those 2022 releases. And so this gives us that time. So our best of all time is going to be coming up. And that is going to be a lot of fun to go through. We've got a bunch of top 20 videos coming your way.
Yeah. So until then, got some music. I'd like to thank everyone for joining us on the call aboard. And we'll see you on our Discord, on our Twitter, and at the game table.
Have a good night, everybody.